Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this scheduled council meeting of the 16th of December 2025, which is being held in person in the council chamber at Civic Centre 25 Ferris Boulevard, South Morang. The meeting is also being live streamed. I'm Councillor Laurie Cox, Mayor of the City of Whittlesea, and I'd like to introduce our councillors in attendance tonight. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Blair Corwell, Councillor Daniela Zinni, Councillor Michael Labrador, Councillor Debbie Gunn, sorry, hats were throwing me, Councillor Aidan McLinden, Councillor Jared Lappin, Councillor Martin Taylor, Councillor Christine Stowe, and online Councillor David Lenberg. I'd also introduce our Chief Executive Officer, Craig Lloyd, and ask that Craig introduce the members of the Executive Leadership Team.
Thank you and good evening, Chair. Introduce Director of Planning and Development, Emma Appleton. Director of Community Wellbeing, Agatha Himalevsky. Director of Corporate and Customer Services, Sarah Renner. Director of Infrastructure and Environment, Debbie Wood. The Executive Manager Public Affairs, Janine Morgan. And at the table here, the Executive Manager of Office and Council and CEO, Jacinta Stevens. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. On behalf of Council, I recognise the rich Aboriginal heritage of this country and acknowledge the Wurundjeri Willamette clan and the Tangarong people as the traditional owners of the lands within the City of Whittlesea. I would also like to personally acknowledge Elders past, present and emerging. I'll also now read our diversity and good governance statement. At the City of Whittlesea, we are proud of our diversity and the many cultures, faiths and beliefs that make up our community. We strive to be an inclusive, welcoming city that fosters active participation, well-being and connection to each other and this land. We commit as a council to making informed decisions to benefit the people of the City of Whittlesea now and into the future, to support our community's visions of a place for all. I note there is one apology, Councillor Nick Brooks, who has a work commitment. And we'll now move to acknowledgements. I'm deeply appalled and saddened by the horrific events that took place on Sunday at Bondi Beach. The City of Whittlesea stands with Australia and the rest of the world in sending our heartfelt thoughts to the victims, their families and everyone touched by this terrible tragedy. We thank the first responders and the selfless civilians who helped those in need. Our thoughts are with everyone affected by this devastating incident. The City of Whittlesea is a proudly multicultural community and we condemn any violence towards others based on hate, ethnicity or religious preferences. We will act to support our community, irrespective of your faith, background, now and in the future. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd ask you to rise for a moment's silence in memory of those victims. Thank you. Please be seated. In other acknowledgements, the City of Whittlesea was proud to be awarded the Advocacy for Growth Area Equity Award at the National Growth Areas Alliance Annual Awards for our role in advocating for improved telecommunication services for our local residents. The win recognises the importance of advocating to ensure our growing communities have the infrastructure, connectivity and services they need. Congratulations to all of those who were involved in the campaign, and the award is actually on the left table. Planning Award, I'll call on Councillor Caldwell.
Thank you, Chair. The City of Whittlesea also received a commendation at the Planning Institute Australia Vic Awards for Planning Excellence. In the category of Technology and Digital Innovation for our Development Contribution Power BI tool. This tool, developed in-house, is a pioneering digital innovation that has transformed the way infrastructure contributions are tracked, forecast and planned across Council's key growth areas. It also provides practical benefits for the City of Whittlesea by enabling smarter infrastructure planning and better informed decision making. Congratulations again to all those involved in the project. Thank you.
Under the Northern Business Achievement Awards, I'll ask for Councillor Lenberg. Sorry, I lost my notes. I put the wrong sheet in. So Councillor Lenberg, please.
It was great. It was a good thing my mic was off because I started too soon. The City of Whittlesea congratulates 2 local businesses who received awards at the recent Northern Business Achievement Awards hosted by Northlink. IFAS Civil won the Innovation and Enterprise Award, and Areas Magnetics were awarded both the Digital Technology Award and Business of the Year Award. These achievements showcase the strength, innovation and leadership of businesses in our municipality, helping to drive growth, local jobs and contribute to our thriving local economy. Congratulations to both IFAS Civil and Areas Magnetics.
Thank you. Under International Day of People with Disability, every year on the 3rd of December, we recognise International Day of People with Disability, a day that promotes awareness, understanding and acceptance. It also reminds us to celebrate inclusion and the many strengths people of all abilities bring to our community. This year we're proud to partner with the Thomastown Recreational Aquatic Centre, Thomastown Neighbourhood House and the Innovation Youth Centre for the We Are the Champions celebration. The event provided a full day of activities and inspiration and unity for all, and I had the pleasure of being there and seeing their participation. It was fantastic. Community Awards, I again call on the Deputy, Councillor Caldwell.
Thank you, Chair. Nominations are now open for the City of Whittlesea Community Awards. These awards shine a light on those who go above and beyond to help make the City of Whittlesea a great place to live. If you know someone who makes a real difference in our community, I encourage you to nominate them for an award. There are 5 categories available and more information and a link to the nomination form is available on Council's website. Thank you.
Thank you. And carols, last Friday night we held a spectacular Christmas carols event here on the council lawns at Ferris Boulevard. We had thousands of people come along and enjoy a range of family-friendly musical performances, children's activities, food trucks and of course a special visit from Santa. It was a wonderful evening for all those involved, and again I thank you to everyone who helped bring this festive event to life for our community, and it was a fantastic crowd that attended on the lawns. As we come to the end of the year, I'd also like to take this opportunity to wish those who are celebrating a wonderful Christmas and to everyone in our community a safe and happy, healthy, festive season, and certainly look forward to their presence in the 2026 year. Declarations of conflict of interest. Councillors and officers, if you have a conflict of interest in any item on the agenda, you may verbally disclose the type and nature of the interest now, but you must also make a declaration immediately before consideration of the matter in question. Councillors, are there any items for which you have a conflict of interest to declare?
Chair.
officers, are there any items for which you have a conflict of interest to declare?
No, Chair.
Thank you. I'll now move to the confirmation of the minutes, and I seek a motion to confirm the minutes of the two preceding meetings held on the 18th of November. Is there a mover? Councillor Caldwell, seconder. Councillor Lappin, and the moving the motion is the recommendation as published.
Sorry,
Thank you.
Councillor Cox, I failed to put my microphone on. Yes, the motion is as stated as the recommendation, please.
Thank you. I'll put that to a vote. All of those in favour, please raise your hand. It's carried unanimously. Public question time. Council allows up to 30 minutes for public questions, petitions or joint letters from our community. Public questions will be read out by the CEO's delegate and responded to by the CEO. I note that we have not received any public questions for this meeting. Petitions. Items 4.2. A petition has been received with a combined total of 474 signatures, of which 134 were compliant under the governance rules. The petition requests that Council formally recognise community opposition against the establishment and operation of a new bottle shop at 19 Church Street, Whittlesea, and advocate against any bottle shop operating at this location. Do I have a mover of a motion? Councillor Stowe is moving the...
Move the recommendation as put by the officers.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Zinni. Councillor Stowe, do you wish to speak to the resolution? Motion? Getting away with it.
Briefly, I understand that somebody wants to build a bottle shop in Whittlesea, which is in my ward. I'm not sure of the pros and cons, but happy to receive community feedback and understand their position. So I have had correspondence with the residents and we'll have further correspondence and understanding of the situation.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Zinni, do you wish to speak?
Yes, Chair. The petition based on the bottle shop being proposed, I do support that the council do look into that because one of the biggest things there is that there are enough bottle shops in Whittlesea. So hopefully I'd like to see that come to the table. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other councillor that wish to speak on the motion? Right. Being none, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Again, carried unanimously. Joint letters. There are no joint letters. And we'll now move to consideration of reports. Item 5.1. And introducing the item will be the Director of Infrastructure and Environment. Sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. We are very excited to be presenting the open space plan to go out for community consultation. Just noting that the consultation will be extended, given that it will be over a holiday period. So we feel that a longer consultation period will be worth having. But I have my Manager of Urban Design and Transport here with me, Arishdeep, who will take you through the report.
Thank you, Debbie. Good evening, all. Tonight, I'm pleased to present you with Draft Open Space Plan 2636. The City of Whittlesea has a diverse and extensive open space network, from local parks and playgrounds to waterways, trails, and natural areas. These spaces are vital for our health and well-being, our environment, and for bringing people together. Well-planned, high-quality open spaces are fundamental to delivering the Whittlesea 2040 vision of a place for all. Council's role is to look after the open space we manage, while also planning and advocating for a connected network of open spaces across the whole municipality. Most of our community has good access to open space. However, we know there are still gaps within some of our neighborhoods. Our current open space strategy was adopted in 2016 and has helped deliver many great outcomes. Whittlesea has grown quickly since then, and the draft Public Open Space Plan 2026-36 is developed to better reflect today's community needs and plan for the next 10 years. The plan sets a vision to protect, enhance, and grow our open space to meet needs of our diverse and growing community. It focuses on creating places that are safe, welcoming, and inclusive for people of all ages and abilities, while also protecting our natural environment. A key part of the plan is a suburb-by-suburb approach, recognizing that rural areas, new growth communities, and established suburbs all have different needs. The new plan has been developed through research, data collection, subject matter experts' knowledge and analysis, and the existing feedback we have from the community. We are now proposing to share the draft Public Open Space Plan 2026-36 with the community to understand if we have got it right and get further feedback before finalizing the plan. And I would like to put forward the recommendations as per the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions from councillors? Being none, thank you for presenting the report, and I'll move and ask for a motion. Councillor Labrador.
Thanks, Chair. I move the motion of point 1 being the same, of point 2 with the wording, endorse the draft Public Open Space Plan 2026-36 with the following amendment, include a point 4.9 to focus area 4, climate change resilience, that reads, being proactive with reducing accessible fuel like dead wood, undergrowth and dense scrub to reduce the risk and severity of bushfires. Point 3 and 4 are as the same.
Okay. Is there a second, Councillor McLendon?
I'll second that, Chair.
I just want to make sure that we got the words right. Can you?
Yep.
That's good. You're fine with that? Yep. Councillor McLendon, you're happy with the words? Yep.
Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Sorry, Councillor Labrador, do you wish to speak to the resolution, motion?
Yes, Chair, thank you. Obviously, first, thanks to the council officers for all the work that went into the plan. I move this motion on the basis that it's important to be proactive, not reactive when it comes to things like climate change. If we want to future-proof our area against climate change, it's important to include items in our plans that address hazard reduction to ensure our open spaces are robust against bushfires and that our emergency services are not inundated with horrific bushfires. We don't want another Black Saturday, which affected our Kinglake residents back in 2008. Obviously, one of the key findings of the investigation after Black Saturday was that there was an inadequate removal of hazardous material, which only stoked the flames and added to that disaster and the death toll there. So we need to be proactive, not reactive. There will be future bushfires, unfortunately, and adding to our plan a strategy to reduce the risk of a potential bushfire, I believe, is a sound proposition, and I hope that my fellow councillors support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor McLendon is the seconder.
Thank you, Chair. I'll just reiterate what Councillor Labrador has said. I think we need to approach this with a healthy balance of preservation, but also the clearance as well. I think it speaks for itself. Very common sense amendment there that I would urge my fellow councillors to endorse. Thank you, Chair.
I'll just make the comment, this is the actual motion, it's not an amendment. No, I just want to clear it. This is the actual motion, it's not an amended motion, okay? So you've spoken to the motion. Is there any councillor wish to speak? Councillor Caldwell?
Thank you, Chair. I would like to move an amendment to the motion, and that being that we return to the officer's recommendation as published in the agenda. Is that possible? Sorry. So,
I think you could foreshadow. So you want to amend the words back to the original
yes, Chair.
recommendation in the papers?
Yes, please.
Okay. So you're moving that. Councillor Caldwell, seconder. No, he's moving an amendment. Okay. Is the mover of the motion prepared to accept the amended?
No, Chair.
Thank you. And seconders in the same vote? Thank you. Now, Councillor Caldwell, you've moved the amendment, which is returning point 2 back to the original officer's recommendation. Is there a seconder? Councillor Lappin. So, Councillor Caldwell, I'll call on you to speak.
Thank you, Chair. It's with an abundance of caution that I request that we return to the original motion, or the officer's recommendation as the motion. Obviously, I fully accept the spirit of what Councillor Labrador is proposing in terms of addressing climate change and also mitigating risk in terms of fire. Given that we're in an active meeting, my concerns mainly around what are the potential implications for these wordings, and not having sufficient time to really unpack exactly what the potential implications are. So I accept and on the surface of the spirit of what is being proposed. However, I do feel it's important that we return to what the officer recommendation was as the motion, just to ensure that there's not any unforeseen consequences. Thank you.
Thank you. Seconder of the amendment, Councillor Lappin.
Yes, please, Chair. My feelings are very similar to Councillor Caldwell in that sense. Obviously, in the spirit, it is good to reduce that fuel and make sure that our bushfire risks are mitigated. I just wouldn't want to see it be go overboard and make sure, because a lot of our smaller native wildlife use that undergrowth for obviously their protection from other animals as well. So I just want to make sure that the undergrowth that's there is looked after in a sustainable way and it isn't just gotten rid of prematurely or in a way that would be a detriment to the environment. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other speakers on the amendment? Councillor Stowe.
Can I just clarify? So this is now an amendment. The original position is now an amendment.
No, the amendment is to return to the officer's published recommendation,
Yes.
rather than what has been put up as a motion by Councillor Labrador, which amended the words in clause point 2. So we're only talking about the amendment, which is rewording point 2 back to the original wording.
Look, I'd just like to say that in the spirit of Councillor Caldwell and Councillor Lappin, what they're saying, I'm not convinced and haven't had the time to understand how Councillor Labrador's change to the officer's recommendation will impact on this draft open space plan. There will be opportunity for the public to give that feedback about undergrowth and sustainability, all that. But I really haven't had the time to consider, and I'm not sure that talking about sustainability and undergrowth removal is in the spirit of this particular plan. So I think it's an overarching plan, but as we say, we haven't had the opportunity to have that discussion, so I'd rather leave it with the original officer's recommendation.
Okay. I'll just clarify for the purposes of the meeting. The proposed amendment being put by Councillor Cole will be the amended words on the screen now. Okay, so everyone's clear on that. Any other speakers? Councillor Gunn.
I reiterate, I think the sentiment of the change that Councillor Labrador put up is a good thought. However, this amendment is all about taking it out for community engagement, and I prefer that it goes out to the wording that's on the screen now, which is the original officer recommendation. Once it's out for consultation, the community have every opportunity to have their say on that, on the contents of the plan, and as councillors we can also have discussions with the with the staff in relation to feedback that we wish to offer in relation to the plan. I would much prefer to have time to fully discuss the implications or potential implications of what Councillor Labrador proposed, rather than put it into a motion here tonight. So I support the amendment that Councillor Colwell has put forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Oh, sorry, it's on the amendment, so yes, you can speak. My apologies, Councillor Labrador.
Oh, I would have thought I got right of reply. Or
No. I'm
No,
dealing with
I can
the
speak to
amendment
it.
purely at the moment.
Yep.
If you wish to speak on the amendment,
Yep.
yes, go for it.
Yep. Thanks, Chair. I think the thing to note about the amendment and the reason why I had added that point in was partly one, in briefing, obviously we had talked about the draft public open space, and I noted to the council officers that it might be wise to also think about, for climate change reasons and also bushfire reasons, to potentially include a point within that section surrounding getting rid of dead bush and things that would cause bushfires to get worse. Obviously, I read the draft again before the meeting, and I noted that that change wasn't there. And obviously, that's not anything wrong with the officers, but wanted to move that so that way that part doesn't get left out. The other thing is it will go to community consultation anyway, so if the community is against the amendment, the original motion that I'd put forward, then obviously they can vocalise that in community consultation. But I do want to note that the motion that I'd put forward is about being proactive, about protecting our residents and ensuring that we don't have terrible bushfires like we've had before. That's all I want to know.
Thank you. Any other speakers on the amendment? Councillor Taylor.
Chair, I think I'm only one of a handful of councillors in this chamber that stood in front of a 30-metre wall of fire, rushing at you like a locomotive and sounding exactly like that. And you're armed with 600 gallons of water and you're trying to put it out and protect the community. I understand the sentiment that Councillor Labrador is suggesting, but I think we need to consider the fact that this is going to consultation, and I think we should leave the community make that feedback and then come back and consider an appropriate amendment to that at the right time. So I support Councillor Colwell's recommendation and motion.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Other speakers? Councillor Zinni.
Yeah, I also echo what the majority of us are saying in terms of the sentiment that we do want to have climate resilience in our open spaces, but it's not the right time to bring that up in terms of the amendment and sending it out to the community. We're not experts in climate. We're not experts in the undergrowth, and we have people in council and officers who are experts, and I would rely on them for that to be put into the report, then putting it through here at the meeting. So I would revert back to that amendment and keep it as it is. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone that hasn't speak? No. I will now put the amendment to a vote. So Councillor Cole's moved the amendment that appears on the screen, and I'll ask you to raise your hands if you're in favour of that amendment. So I'll read it out. Councillor Zinni, Councillor Caldwell, Councillor Cox, Councillor Stowe, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Lappin, Councillor Gunn. All those against? Sorry, apologies, Councillor Lindbergh. All those against? Councillor Labrador and Councillor McLinden. The motion is carried. So that now becomes the substantive motion. We will return to that. Is there any speakers on the substantive motion that haven't already spoken? You have on the amendment, so you can seek on the substantive motion. Councillor Lappin.
Cool. Thank you, Chair. I just had a few comments about the draft plan in general. So I just wanted to say that I really enjoyed going over the plan. Is this just talking to the, yeah, talking to the movement? And I think the officers for developing it, it covers a lot of ground and it sets a high standard for our natural environment, which I think our community will enjoy. It's important to remember that we don't exist separately to our environment. We of course exist with it, and the health of our environment and the health and well-being of our community are directly linked. We're very fortunate in the City of Whittlesea to have such a high level of open space and environmental heritage, but with that comes the responsibility to ensure we're looking after it correctly and retaining it for our future generations. This plan acknowledges that there is significant challenges facing our environment, from overdevelopment to climate change, and it sets strategies to mitigate those challenges while also ensuring our open spaces remain accessible and beneficial to everyone. We have an incredibly diverse council area, from our rural centres to our more developed areas in the south, and how we link those areas and provide for them is well addressed in this plan. I encourage the community to read through it and give feedback on areas important to them, as our open spaces are something that we all share and all benefit from. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Lappin. Any other speakers on the, Councillor McLinden? Sorry.
Thank you, Chair, and I welcome the extended time for public consultation throughout the holidays to make sure that we have given the best opportunity for the community to give us their feedback. I do see that it's also, once this draft is endorsed, after going to community feedback, that we will also have that check annually. I think it also sends a very clear message to the developers in the city what our expectations are, particularly given we've got unprecedented growth, which we're going to have to manage, and I think we're going to be ahead of the 8 ball by letting them know exactly what we expect, because we don't want to be rushed. We don't want sardine cans. We want open public spaces that can be enjoyed by not only today's children but the next generation of babies, such as Councillor Lappin. So I think this is a very sound document, and I do encourage the community to give their feedback as much as possible throughout the holiday period. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. Are the speakers on the substantive motion? Councillor Caldwell.
Thank you, Chair. Look, I'll just speak very, very briefly, and that to point out, obviously, we are going out to community consultation for this, so there will be opportunities to really explore some of those points that Councillor Labrador was raising, and that being climate change and also how we respond to bushfires and manage our public open spaces, ensuring that we've mitigated fire risk. So I encourage the community to participate in the consultation process, and if that's an issue of real importance to them, to really highlight that through the consultation process. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Caldwell. Any other speakers? Okay, and for the purposes of the rules, you have the right of reply as the substantive mover. So, Councillor Labrador, if you wish to exercise that.
No, Chair.
Thank you. I just want to make sure everybody was clear that even though the motion's changed, you had the right. Okay. So now I'll put the substantive motion to a vote. All those in favour of the substantive motion? And it's carried unanimously. Thank you. You made me think about my understanding of the rules too. Okay, we'll move to 5.2, which is the Boulevard Town Centre revitalisation. And again, I'll call on the Director of Infrastructure and Environment to present the report.
Thank you, Chair. Very excited to be presenting to you a proposal for a tender recommendation for the Boulevard streetscape. It's a continuation of our town centre improvements, and I have Nick, my Manager of Capital Delivery, here with me to take you through the report. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. The Boulevard Town Centre Revitalisation Project is a high priority action in the Town Centre Revitalisation Program due to the site's ageing infrastructure, its proximity to the Thomastown train station and its high visibility to the community. The proposed improvements are supported by the 2023 Thomastown and Laylaw Place framework, which promotes improved community spaces and local economy. The proposed improvements include wider footpaths for social gathering places and for local trading, new shared paths and bicycle lanes, landscaping including rain gardens and underground water storage for irrigation of trees, raised pedestrian crossings for improved pedestrian safety, additional car parking spaces, renewal of underground drains, road widening and re-asphalting. The improvements will benefit the local shops, customers, local residents and pedestrians and cyclists moving through the area. Tenders were advertised in September 2025 and 5 tender submissions were received at close of tender. The Tender Evaluation Panel reviewed these tenders in line with the Tender Probity and Evaluation Plan and shortlisted tenders for a detailed evaluation, interviews and reference checks. Following clarification of construction methodologies and other technical issues, the shortlisted tenderers were invited to submit a best and final offer. A risk assessment was then undertaken to help inform the final evaluation. Upon conclusion of the tender evaluation process, the Tender Evaluation Panel recommend that Council award a contract to Evergreen Civil Proprietary Limited for the lump sum of $3 million, $3,069,000 and 71. I'll repeat that again: $3,069,071.49, excluding GST. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions? Councillor Stowe.
Thank you for that presentation and report for this tender. A question I had was when I was looking at the tenders and the tenderers, and there was a rating for sustainability, and I was wondering how we measure sustainability to be awarded those scores.
Thank you for the question. A range of elements are part of the Sustainability Index, including the various construction methods that they use, how they deal with their waste from the construction activity, as well as off-site impacts, including how they operate outside the site. So that might mean purchasing green power for their offices and possibly other environmental initiatives that they have as well.
Is there somewhere that we can see a matrix? Not now, but is there somewhere we can sort of see a matrix to understand how that sustainability score is rated?
Yeah, sure. The detailed report does have a bit more information around that sustainability assessment for the tenderers as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other questions? Being none, thank you for the presentation of the report, and I'll ask for a mover of a motion. Councillor McLinden, you're moving.
I move the officer's recommendation before us, Chair.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Stowe. Councillor McLinden, I'll call on you if you wish to speak.
Chair, in the absence of Councillor Brooks, I know that he was excited about this project, and I do welcome the tender, the successful tender in Evergreen Civil, who I understand has undertaken numerous projects in the city before, so they have a track record. This is exciting. Some of that footpath when I was a kid would, or close to being heritage listed, so I think it was time for a bit of a facelift. So really exciting to see that bits of the city are going to, the aesthetics are going to be improved over time. So a much welcome project. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Stowe is the seconder. Do you wish to speak?
I think that reiterating Councillor McLinden's sentiments, I'm sure that Councillor Brooks will be very excited about this project, and also I'm not sure that I'm so excited if the footpaths are heritage listed, then they're tearing up my childhood actually. So, but I think it's great for that part of Thomastown. Rejuvenation is sorely required, and I think that, you know, being close to the railway station and the commercial benefit of the upgrades will be a great impact on the community.
Thank you, Councillor. Is there any other councillors wish to speak? Being none, I too was concerned about the heritage listing on the footpath. Thank you, Councillor Stowe, for pointing that out. I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? And it's carried unanimously. Okay, item 5.3, the Affordable Housing Plan. I'll call on the Director of Planning and Development to introduce the item, please.
Thank you, Chair. So tonight we present the Affordable Housing Plan for adoption following the public consultation. The Affordable Housing Plan sets out a strategic path to increase the supply of affordable homes across Whittlesea, the City of Whittlesea. The plan draws on the latest data on housing trends, along with insights from our community and industry partners. Affordable, safe and secure housing is essential infrastructure in our neighbourhoods, yet in the City of Whittlesea we do not have enough. I'd like to hand over now to Emily, our Unit Manager for portfolio development, to take you through a few more facts.
It's fine,
Emma.
Director. Everybody's tripping over their words, including me.
Thanks, Emma. Evening, everyone. So the plan outlines Council's role and priorities to increase the supply of affordable housing with the aim to ensure more people in our municipality can access the housing that they need. The plan represents three key directions. Firstly, to research and advocate for greater investment, stronger planning provisions, and the use of state-owned land to deliver more affordable housing. Secondly, to partner and incentivise, to share resources, build understanding, support initiatives that increase the supply and affordability of housing. And finally, to facilitate and deliver, using our role as landowner and responsible authority to deliver more affordable housing by securing funding, identifying suitable sites, encouraging well-located developments, and exploring long-term ownership and delivery models. On the 19th of August, the draft plan was endorsed for a second round of community consultation. The plan was made available for community and stakeholder feedback from the 25th of August to the 21st of September 2025. Via Council's engagement page, supported by a social media outreach and an email campaign reaching over 1,600 recipients. 4 written submissions were received from community members and 2 from industry stakeholders. The recommendation is to adopt the Affordable Housing Plan and thank the community for their contribution, which is up on the screen now. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Is there any questions from councillors? Councillor Labrador.
Thanks, Chair. Thank you, guys. I just had a question just in regards to some of the wording within the plan. I'm just going to read here. It says, in the policy statement under the housing insecurity, in our policy statements it says, housing insecurity disproportionately affects some groups more than others. And it also says, Council will take an intersectional lens to its housing work, recognising that overlapping forms of disadvantage can compound housing insecurity. In doing so, Council endorses the Mana Na Won Tain Mar Takurt framework, supporting culturally safe and self-determined housing outcomes for First Nations peoples. Just on that framework, was that framework provided to us in briefing just to guide our policy on housing on the plan?
So in briefing, we provide, as part of the consultation exercise chair, the Community Housing Industry Association, it was chair who put that forward, provided information and asked us, based on the fact that Aboriginal communities are very much part of that disadvantaged community, and this plan was very much about the self-determination in all things. So we provided, within the wording though, it wasn't being endorsed this evening, it was just going to be referenced in alignment with. Because it would have to be, if you were going to, we gave the feedback within briefing and in the report that we would take that on board, but we wouldn't be endorsing it through this work.
Thank you. I thought a further follow-up question to that is, I've just got the report in front of me, the plan in front of me, and the wording verbatim, it says, in doing so, Council endorses the framework. So is it an endorsement or is it, I think the question I'm trying to get here is, I think it might be beneficial for the councillors around the table to receive the framework to know what we're endorsing in order to, before we go and vote for it. Would that be okay?
Yes, that's correct. It's not to endorse the plan. It's just in alignment based on Chia Vic's recommendation. That might have been an oversight based on the wording from Chia Vic, so we can update that as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Just on the note of the information that is in the framework that we are going into alignment with, I was just wondering, Chair, whether or not this could potentially be pushed back by one meeting for a vote so that councillors can have that information on the framework. Just because the framework is about 109 pages, and obviously it does affect our strategy in the plan. Just wondering whether or not there might be some appetite around the table, or whether or not we could have a bit more time to read the framework, get some more information, so that we can make an informed decision.
Thank you, Councillor Labrador. We are in the question phase, and I would advise you that if you're wishing to delay a vote on the meeting, on the item, there is a procedural process to do that in the voting process. But we are in the question phase at the moment, taking on board your comment. So if you have another question. No? Thank you. Is there any other questions from councillors? Sorry, Councillor Lindbergh. Sorry, I'm not looking at the screen.
That's okay, Councillor Cox. Thank you very much. I just wanted to ask about the types of build that are currently underway in the City of Whittlesea. We're talking about traditional bricks and mortar versus modular build. Does the type of build form a part of the plan? Because this will increase the speed as well as maintaining quality. I'm just not sure if that forms a part of the plan or not.
Thank you for the question. No, the construction methodology or the type of build doesn't fall within the scope of the plan. The plan more forms the strategic direction and the key directions, and we'll have some key actions that sit underneath. However, the construction methodology and the type of build will be a consideration in terms of timeliness and cost for any procurement process or partnership that comes out of this plan. Thanks.
I'd like to move the motion that points 1 and 2 of the officer recommendation remain the same, and include a new point 3 to read, authorise the CEO or their delegate to advocate on behalf of council to the federal government for a fair and more accessible housing market by reviewing housing tax policies, including negative gearing and capital gains tax discounts on investment properties. And point 3 of the officer recommendation becomes a new point 4. That's correct, Chair. Thank you. Yes, please, Chair. Thank you. So when this draft of the plan was presented to Council earlier this year, the common theme among those who supported it was how important affordable housing is and the positive impact it makes to our community. All modelling and projections show that housing affordability and accessibility is decreasing, not just in the City of Whittlesea, but Australia-wide. It's one of the major issues facing working Australians, and responding to it effectively, as the plan states, will require all levels of government actively working on solutions. All levels have different strengths to contribute to solving this issue, and the plan in front of us tonight, from the local government side of things, is exceptional. The level of detail and the breadth of ideas and strategies presented in this plan will make a major difference in ensuring housing equality and will make, I believe, our council a real leader in this space. The amendment I propose is simply to ensure that, in addition to this plan, we are calling on other levels of government, in this case the federal government, to do their part in ensuring we have a fair and more accessible housing system. As house prices continue to rapidly rise, far outpacing the majority of local incomes, in particular young people and young families, we will see the need for affordable housing continue to increase to levels far beyond what we can reasonably be expected to address at the local level. There are, I believe, genuine pathways the federal government can take to support a better housing system that prioritises home ownership over home investment. It's important to include this advocacy in the plan because to address housing affordability in the long term, these issues, which are outside our direct control as council, will need to be addressed if we are to achieve our own goals. By advocating for a review of current housing tax policies, like negative gearing and capital gains tax discounts, we can call on the government to make a positive long-term impact that will ensure that not only are affordable homes more accessible to those who need them, but housing is genuinely more affordable for everyone. This amendment seeks to distribute the responsibility for affordable housing to all levels of government. And I believe as a council, we are well placed to advocate for these changes and represent our community on the issues which matter to them. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Chair. Affordable housing, and such as affordable, safe and secure housing, is absolutely essential with regard to the growth of the municipality. I 100% support the statements made by Councillor Lappin tonight, and as a result support the motion as it appears.
Thank you, Mayor. Access to safe and secure housing is a basic human need and, as outlined in the Affordable Housing Plan, a fundamental human right. Rising house prices is increasingly challenging these principles, and each level of government has a role to play in ensuring affordable housing is accessible for our community. As it stands, we have unmet need of 5,117 homes, increasing to 8,942 homes by 2041. This plan lays out key directions in responding to increasing demand for access to affordable housing. This is achieved through research current and future needs and advocacy for public and private investment in affordable housing, council partnering with community housing organisations, increasing supply of affordable housing, and incentives provision by exploring cost reduction for those organisations. And finally, facilitate the provision of affordable housing by advocating to state and federal levels, at the state and federal levels of government, and where council has identified appropriate properties in its portfolios, explore models of delivery. I think this is a really great plan, and I want to sort of, while I've got some time remaining, highlight, obviously, there's an amendment that's taken place in terms of the officer recommendations being added to, so the motion's been raised. And going to the point earlier of saying I don't have enough time to study the proposed motion by Councillor Labrador, understanding that it's about advocating, which is outlined in the policy and is firmly embedded in the policy. So I feel very comfortable with the motion as it stands. So I thought I'd just make that point. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Call. Other speakers, Councillor McLinden.
Just clarifying, Chair, are we speaking just to point 3 addition in the motion?
No,
This
is now the motion.
No worries. I'd just like to say a few words, and affordable housing is almost a bit of an oxymoron these days, but as Councillor Lippin had said, it's getting harder and harder, and the gap between the haves and have-nots is increasing rapidly. We've seen over successive state and federal governments where we've seen land being landlocked, and now we can't get it out there fast enough, so there's obviously there's a bit of catch-up being played there. And myself, as one of 9 children, you can go through the assets from the eldest to the youngest. There's a 20-year gap, and there's a huge shift is what's happened in that 20 years. And I think it's this is a very worthy cause of the document we have before us. There is a very sad statistic on page 14, which relates to the homelessness per 10,000. And it says that in 2025, we have 37 per 10,000, and in 2041, that'll increase to 55. So that's almost a 50% increase of projected increase of homelessness, and this is it is bestowed upon all of us, whether it's local, state, or federal, that we must always strive to seek out to protect and provide for the most vulnerable, and not least, Whittlesea City will see this almost 50% increase of homelessness. So this is something that certainly needs to be on the radar. I find that a tragic when we're one of the most resource-rich countries in the world, and we're going to have an increase in homelessness. I really urge state and federal governments to tackle this issue, so we don't just take that statistic as a given, that we can really tackle this and make sure that everyone's got a roof above their head, because there is no excuse in 2025, let alone 2041, that anybody in this country should be without a roof. So we will do everything we possibly can, and obviously the CEO will advocate on behalf of council, and I'm just wary of the unintended consequences too of poor policy, and we've got to make sure that any innovations or any grants, etc. they give, the unintended consequences don't just make homes even more expensive into the future. So I will be supporting the report before us today. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. Other speakers? Councillor Labrador.
Thanks, Chair. I was just having a think. I was wondering if I could raise an amendment to point 3. So the wording around point 3 would authorise the CEO or their delegate to advocate on behalf of council to the federal government for a fairer and more accessible housing market by reviewing housing tax policies, including negative gearing and capital gains tax discounts on investment properties, and also aiming to lower, sorry, I'm working with wording, aiming to lower the barriers for developers to develop, to improve supply so that we can improve the amount of housing. Sorry,
Councillor
that's a bit-
Labrador, I appreciate, and I'm trying to give you the benefit.
Yeah.
Look, you need to put that in writing.
Yeah.
So I might just adjourn for 5 minutes and give you the opportunity to put in writing. I'll just remind all councillors, this is the reason why we ask for things in writing in advance of the meeting so that we can actually have it prepared to go on the screen. So I'll adjourn until 7 p.m. Thank you. We'll resume at 7:01. Thank you. Do we have now a set of words on the screen? So you're moving this as an amendment?
Correct.
Thank you, Councillor Labrador. And those words are correct in the red?
Yep. Oh, sorry.
So there's a correction that should be
Should not be disincentivise.
Yes. Thank you for drawing out. Councillor Lindbergh, I was just about to point that out. So that's changed to
Oh, sorry. Yep.
disincentivise.
Sorry, guys.
Okay, and now is the words correct, Councillor Labrador?
Yes, Chair.
Okay. Is there a, sorry, seconder? Oh no, sorry, clarification? Yes, Councillor Stowe.
Yes, I'd like a clarification on this new amended motion, both the addition by Councillor Labrador and the change by Councillor Lappin. I totally agree with the spirit of the plan and to authorise the plan. However, adding the advocate to the state government and so on, to my mind, changes the spirit of this proposal in the first place, and it moves into advocacy, whereas this is about the plan. I don't disagree that we should advocate, but I'd like to understand, is this changing what this motion and this policy is now about?
I'll ask the Director. Manager, sorry, Governor.
So the effect of the motion that's been moved and the subsequent amendment doesn't take away from the affordable housing plan being adopted as it is. It just adds on an addition requirement to the CEO to advocate to the state and federal government.
Councillor Stowe, you.
Well, the clarification is around my concern for the extra workload that implies to this amendment. In the spirit of it, I don't object to advocating, but it just seems like a different proposal now to me.
Okay. So Councillor Labrador is moving an amendment. Is the mover of the motion prepared to accept the amendment?
Yes, I am, Chair.
Okay, and the seconder, Councillor Taylor? So that now becomes the substantive motion.
Chair, I can foreshadow if there's such a thing on the proposed amendment of the amendment.
Do what?
I think we can simplify it. I've got a suggestion that might come. I was thinking we could simplify it to the council, to federal government, authorise the CEO on behalf of council to the state and federal government, and then that captures all types of policies. That's what I was just thinking, to simplify it.
I understand you're foreshadowing that. That's fine. I've now got a substantive motion which can all go up in black. I've heard from Councillor Lappin and Councillor Taylor. Do you wish to speak, Councillor Labrador?
Yep, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to make a quick point on the amendment that I obviously put in there. I think it's also important, yes, we need to tackle the tax incentives, the negative gearing, to improve the supply of affordable housing, but it's also important to actually tackle the root cause of supply issues, which is developers that are land banking, and obviously it's in the motion there. We want to incentivise or disincentivise developers land banking, and we want to make it easier for the supply of houses to actually increase naturally by disincentivising these developers to do that. So that's all. Thanks, Chair.
Is there other speakers to the now motion? I see none. Sorry, Councillor Zinni. My apologies.
Not many councils have affordable housing plans, so this plan is an important One, because it gives council a framework to advocate for and move forward in responding to housing pressure in our community, rather than dealing with issues only as they come up. The cost of living is real, so from the community's consultation, housing affordability is something many people in the City of Whittlesea feel needs to be a top priority for our advocacy. And it needs to be addressed. It affects essential workers, young people hoping to stay close to family, older residents looking for suitable housing and downsizing, and families trying to manage rising costs. This plan strengthens our voice when working with state and federal governments. It helps us clearly explain our local needs and advocates for funding. It advocates for us to disincentivise developers, land banking, and staggering release on their land. I support the adoption, but I do say that the point 3 is double handling. Thank you.
Thank you. Other speakers? Being none, I will put it to a vote. So all those in favour, please raise your hand. So I'll call it Councillor Labrador, Councillor Caldwell, Councillor Cox, Councillor Stowe, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Lappin, Councillor McLinden and Councillor Gunn and Councillor Lenberg. And against or abstaining? Abstaining, Councillor Zinni. The motion is carried. Okay, 5.4. Strategic Property and Land Plan for 2025 to 2030, and introducing the item, Director of Planning and Development, Emma Appleton.
Thank you, Chair. So this report presents the Strategic Property and Land Plan for adoption following public consultation. The City of Whittlesea owns and manages a significant property and land portfolio. These properties support essential community services and play a critical role in achieving the long-term strategic goals outlined in the Community Vision and Community Plan. I'm now going to hand over to Amanda, our Manager of Strategic Property and Portfolio Development, to take you through some more facts.
Thanks, Emma. Good evening, everybody. So this plan provides a framework for how we manage our property assets. So it guides decisions on acquisitions, on divestment, on leasing and licensing, and strategic development. The approach presents valuable opportunities to optimise the use of property, reduce ongoing costs, and unlock value for council and for the community. The plan presents 3 key directions. 1, aligning property activities with community needs in a financially sustainable way. 2, ensuring high standards of probity, risk management and regulatory compliance across all property functions. And 3, enabling sustainable and innovative property development and showcasing quality design. On the 19th of August this year, the plan was endorsed by Council for community consultation. It was available for community feedback until the 21st of September, and it was showcased via our engagement page with survey questions, social media posts and an email campaign involving 1,600 recipients. We received 4 written responses. The recommendation today is on screen, and that is to adopt the Strategic Property and Land Plan and thank the community for their input.
Thank you, Amanda. Is there any questions from councillors? Seeing none, thank you for the presentation of the report. And do I have a motion for item 5.4? Councillor Gunn.
I put the motion as per the officer's recommendation.
Thank you. A seconder, Councillor Lappin. Councillor Gunn, do you wish to speak?
Thank you, Mayor. Look, it was it's a great plan. We had a really good briefing the other night, and I thank you for that. the fact that we have strategic plans for our assets it fills me with confidence going forward that we are going to have a very sustainable and well-functioning city into the future. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Lappin as the seconder.
Just really briefly, Chair, I think this plan really shows just how large, this council is and how much assets it has, and to manage it and to do that in a way that is sustainable, in a way that benefits the community, is very difficult with lots of moving parts. So I think I really commend the officers for this report, and I support the officer's recommendation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Other councillors wish to speak? Councillor McLinden.
Thank you, Chair. It's a great report. I think it's a bit visionary as well, and also outlines the amount of land that council has at potentially that we would dispose or sell. Before we get too carried away, I do want to flag, though, that I do believe we are in a unique opportunity to create something big north of Melbourne, and I think we're the envy of a lot of our surrounding councils in terms of being able to plan for something out of the ordinary, such as Australia's very own Silicon Valley. I've moved on from the Las Vegas concept, but I do believe we need something here that can give people a reason to, as they fly into Tullamarine, go north. And I think we've got a huge opportunity with the amount of land accessible to us, including that is owned by council, to really think outside the square so that we can send a very clear message to the rest of Victoria and Australia that we are open for business. And I think we can, we've got huge opportunities and a blank canvas ahead of us, so let's not lose that, because 10 years will come and go quickly and we get one chance at it. So think big, and I think you never know where we might land. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. You have moved on from Las Vegas, I'll give you that. Other councillors wish to speak? Being none, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour? And it's carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 5.5, the Aboriginal Gathering Place Advisory Group Terms of Reference, and I'll call the Director of Community Wellbeing, Agata Shimaleski.
Thank you, Chair. This report presents for Council's consideration a new terms of reference for the Whittlesea Aboriginal Gathering Place Advisory Group, or WAGPAG for short, terms of reference, as the last terms of reference have now expired. I will just hand over straight to Steve, who is the Manager of Community Strengthening, to take Council through the group's purpose and the new terms of reference.
Thank you, Agata. The original WAGPAG was established in 2021 to work collaboratively with Council on the development of the Aboriginal Gathering Place. Its work was guided by an endorsed terms of reference and grounded in principles of co-design, self-determination and sustainability throughout the design and construction process. With the original terms of reference expiring this year and the Aboriginal Gathering Place construction complete, a new terms of reference has been drafted. This outlines the governance model for the first phase of facility operation, during which the WAGPAG will continue to provide Council with strategic advice on the coordination of programs delivered at the AGP, and build community capacity for transitioning to a community-led model in the future, including securing additional partners, external funding, and alternative income streams. Over this period, Council will manage the facility while collaborating with WAGPAG to ensure the AGP's vision of becoming a welcoming, inclusive and culturally safe space for the whole community, First Peoples and non-First Peoples, is met. The new WAGPAG terms of reference proposes an initial phase of 3 to 5 years. During this period, a new terms of reference or an alternative governance agreement will be developed and presented to Council for approval, with a view to transitioning over time to a community-led model. The new WAGPAG terms of reference and its proposed timelines has been informed by engagement with the original WAGPAG members, the Whittlesea Reconciliation Group, representatives from Wurundjeri Woiwurrung Cultural Heritage Aboriginal Corporation, and benchmarking from other Aboriginal gathering places. It also aligns with City of Whittlesea's other advisory group terms of references. It is the Officer's recommendation that Council adopt the new WAGPAG terms of reference and thank the community members involved in its development. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Being none, thank you for the presentation of the report. And I'll ask for a mover of a motion. Councillor McLinden. Moving.
Sorry, Chair, I'll move the officer's recommendations. We're on 2 before us.
Thank you. And Councillor Zinni seconding. Okay. Councillor McLinden.
Look, I think this is a fantastic idea that we, over a 3 to 5 year period, we do the transition model where we can empower the community to lead this. And I look forward to making sure this is a successful transition, and where council can assist to make that successful, that where our doors are always open. And I think Councillor Caldwell is very passionate about this one as well, so it's something good to see to come to fruition, and we really hope that this can end up exactly where they intend it to be. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Zinni.
Thanks, Chair. I had the opportunity to visit the Whittlesea Aboriginal Gathering Place last week for the soft launch, and it's a beautiful facility in a fantastic setting. I look forward to knowing more about the advisory group, and I want to thank all the members of the community who have reviewed and contributed to this development. Thank you.
Thank you. Other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Caldwell.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, this is truly an exciting development on the pathway of the delivery of the Aboriginal Gathering Place in the city of Whittlesea. It's great that these terms of reference have been underpinned with self-determination at its core, and also engaging with traditional owners as an important element of how we deliver Whittlesea Aboriginal Gathering Place. I look forward to, in time, reaching a model which is community controlled and represents the interests of First Nations community. And I also look forward to participating in programs and activities out of the space. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. Other speakers? And none. I just want to add, I attended the launch last week as well. I was a party to the Whittlesea Reconciliation Group a number of years ago, and this was all on paper, on table, and I think a lot of people were very doubtful that it was ever going to eventuate, but it is a fantastic building, and I certainly look forward to us doing the formal opening in the new year, and I would encourage the community to be active. It is an open facility to educate all. It is not isolating people, it is not encouraging people to isolate. It's encouraging people to communicate with each other and educate and understand the background. Thank you. I will put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 5.6, the establishment of a youth hub in the city of Whittlesea, and again the Director of Community Wellbeing, Garda Chmielewski, to introduce. Thank you.
Thank you again, Chair. This report seeks Council's endorsement to develop a business case to assess suitable sites for a future youth hub in the city of Whittlesea. So in 2024, Council undertook a youth hub feasibility study which identified a shortfall in fit-for-purpose youth infrastructure in the city of Whittlesea while we have a growing youth population. So this report recommends progressing a business case to assess in detail 3 sites for a potential future youth hub. I'll now hand over to Steve, Manager of Community Strengthening, to take Council through the report and recommendations. And we also have Mike, who is our Unit Manager of our Youth Service.
Thank you, Agata. Youth hubs are evidence-based community assets that provide young people with safe, informal, welcoming places to connect, participate and receive early support. There is significant national and international research that demonstrates that youth hubs improve social connection, confidence, mental health, school re-engagement and employment readiness, as well as reduce key risk factors linked to youth crime. In 2024, as Garda said, Council undertook a youth hub feasibility study that identified proceeding with a hub and spoke service model in order to best address the growing needs of this council. This new approach to service delivery would include a central hub that acts as the main coordination point, housing core programs, partnerships, and specialist supports, and spokes, sites that provide flexible, localised spaces throughout the municipality. The combined network of hub and spoke sites delivers a more resilient, adaptable, and accessible youth service system than a standalone facility could achieve. The 2024 feasibility study also highlighted the significant shortfall in fit-for-purpose youth infrastructure across the council and identified that 2 dedicated youth hubs are required in the long term, with the first priority being in the Epping North area, and in the longer term, a second hub in the Mernda or South Morang area. These locations were identified due to their large existing and protected youth populations, central location and public transport connections. It was also identified that the youth hub should be physically located near public transport, shops, cafes and recreational opportunities, educational facilities, services and other gathering spaces for youth. Council officers have been actively seeking fit-for-purpose permanent youth hub locations. However, suitable long-term sites have not yet been identified that meet the location, size and design principles outlined in the Youth Hub feasibility study. Given the growing youth population and gaps in youth infrastructure, 2 potential intermediate sites in Epping and 1 permanent site in South Morang are currently being explored, as outlined in the report, requiring further analysis before preferred location can be confirmed. Therefore, it's the Office's recommendation that Council endorse the development of a youth hub business case, assessing these 3 sites in further detail. The business case is to be completed and brought to Council for consideration at the March 2026 Council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Use the discretion to let you finish.
Thank you for that, my apologies.
Knew you weren't going to go on. So, is there any questions? Councillor Zinni first.
Yes, thank you, officers. My question is, why do we need a business case when we've already had a feasibility study?
So the feasibility study was largely about what is the need for a youth hub and what kind of services and programs do we need, what does our youth population want, and it identified, okay, well if the service model is going to be hub and spoke, then what does that mean in terms of infrastructure? When we did the feasibility study, we only looked at a high-level analysis of sites in terms of the capital outlay, the timelines, and sort of the rigour and due diligence that we normally do around sites. So the business case takes that to a new level to give Council, when we come back in March, confidence that those numbers are exactly what it would cost us, both in terms of capital and operational costs. So it's just a much more detailed analysis from a site perspective than a feasibility study does.
Thank you. And one more question. Where did South Morang's location come from and why are we advocating for that?
So as Steve mentioned, Epping and Epping North were the absolute priorities. However, we have been looking at council sites, non-council sites, other Victorian government sites, and it's been difficult to find a site that is fit for purpose and meets the locational requirements. Given South Morang was a longer term option and there is potential to, rather than have an interim site, we could potentially develop a permanent site straight away. We thought that it would be a good site to look at, and particularly because it meets the locational requirements such as proximity to the train station and the shopping centre and things that youth told us that they want to be near.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Stowe.
Yeah, so I have a couple of questions. So when we undertook the feasibility study, did we look into what other opportunities were in the community? Because most of this is around the gaps, but did you also look at what other organisations provide youth services, youth opportunities for engagement?
Yes, we absolutely did. So we had extensive stakeholder consultation during the feasibility study, and our team closely partners all the time with different service providers in the municipality. our aim is always to either complement or fill gaps in services and programs. We absolutely make it a priority that we don't duplicate service, that we make sure that council's funding goes as far as possible in terms of meeting needs, and there are other service providers that are either far more specialised or niche than us, or it's much more economically viable for them to provide the service, and we're always very conscious of that. And certainly in the feasibility study, when we were looking at our service model and where we would locate, it was a consideration and will continue to be as we move through the business case.
So is there a list of those other services that you consulted with, and can we have access to them, please?
Yep, absolutely, we can supply that.
My follow-up question is, we're looking at South Morang or Epping, but Donnybrook's a growing area with a lot of little children, and so there's a time lag between now and when it's actually built. So when you are looking at the feasibility, and I hope when you look at the business case, will you be looking at projecting into the future, not just the gaps here, because you know those growing areas will have a real need, is my concern, and whereas the population here is more ageing and the youth now will be older then. So we'll be taking that into consideration, the Donnybrook areas, those growth areas, Woolert, those sorts of places into the business case.
Yes, absolutely, Councillor Stowe. So as you would have seen in the report, and Steve mentioned it as well, so the feasibility study identified that because of our growing youth population and the growth in the north, we will need 2 hubs in the longer term. So we one to cater for the population that's currently needing a hub in the south, and then later on further north. At the moment, those locations were identified as sort of Mernda, South Morang. But as with all of our community infrastructure planning, we'll keep reviewing it, keep having a look at the population forecasts, and then decide where that longer term site will be to make sure that we're putting it exactly where the need is.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Councillor Lindbergh?
Thank you, Chair. Have we investigated working with Epping developers to provide a use space as part of their developments, perhaps at a reduced cost or low cost to council?
Yes, Councillor Lindbergh, we absolutely have. In fact, Emma and I just met with one just last week, so it is absolutely, we're looking at different sort of partnership and ownership models to make this as feasible as we can for council. And a couple of the developers in that area are certainly keen on partnering on community infrastructure. They certainly see the value in things like a youth hub.
That's great. I have one in mind that I know is trying to get something through, so it could be a carrot to get it across the line.
We'll keep that in mind, thank you.
Not sure about that. Other questions? None. Do I have a... sorry, thank you for the presentation of the report. Appreciate it. Move of the motion. Councillor Labrador.
Thank you, Chair. I am moving the motion of points 1, 2 and 3 are the same, and point 4, as per the wording, if council resolves to invest in a youth hub, that council advocates to the Victorian government for a dollar-for-dollar investment to support the development of a youth hub in accordance with Action 13 of Council's Community Action Plan 25-26.
Just bear with us while we get the wording correct. Is that the correct wording, Councillor Labrador?
Yes, Chair.
Thank you. Seconder of the motion, Councillor McLinden. Councillor Labrador, do you wish to speak?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'm all for a youth hub to be developed within the city of Whittlesea. It's important that we tackle the issues that affect our youth today: loneliness, social isolation and decreased employment opportunities, amongst a few. We also want to provide our young people with a safe space to gather, to socialise, to make friends and to learn and to find jobs as well. A youth hub is an ideal place where all youth from any background can gather. I note that the change to the motion here has specific wording around the advocacy, in which we ask for the state government to invest financially into the youth hub. It's a small tweak, but there is a push from our local members of parliament in our municipality for this youth hub, and we are there with them in wanting to provide this great service to our young people, as there is we're there with them. There might be a significant financial investment from council to build this youth hub. If there's going to be a push from the members of parliament, I think it would be sound for them to help us financially to do so, to ensure that we can successfully deliver this youth hub. As the state election is coming up next November, our advocacy is only going to be more important, and advocating for the necessary funding from the state government is a sound advocacy point, which I'm hoping my fellow councillors can get behind. We might not receive a dollar for dollar investment from the government, but it's always important to shoot for the stars. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Labrador. Seconder, Councillor McLinden.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Very worthy addition to the motion in that we do, as Councillor Labrador suggested, capitalise on the exciting election year before us all. And I think this is our opportunity as a council to look at even the potential of a dollar for dollar for dollar. And I've seen that with the state and federal governments as well. I just hope that we do, and I congratulate the Director of Community Wellbeing and her team, to Steve and to Mike, and the time that they've put to this. They do have a vision for it. I don't want to see us pour a whole lot of money into something that only half succeeds, and that's where I think if we can meet that vision, we really should be advocating strongly to the state government. For those of you who are aware of the hoopla in South Morang for the kids, if you've been in that, I would envisage it something to be like a hoopla version for teenagers, where you've got your music studio, your squash courts, billiards, rap battles, skateboarding, graffiti comps, Space Invaders tables, just for the old school kids, your slam poetry. I mean, the sky's the limit, and I really think if you build it, they will come. But, and that may mean that we are in a position to provide the land, whether it's South Morang, etc., and we can build on that. But I don't think we should rush into this and go in half-cocked. I think we can get state and potentially federal funding for this and do it properly. There are certain examples around Australia that we can actually build from and learn from what has worked in the past. But I certainly endorse point 4 of this motion and would implore my colleagues to really give this opportunity for the youth of our city the best shot that we could possibly hope for. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Just before I call on other speakers, can I just clarify something with the mover? Does the amendment actually restrict our advocacy in terms of if we're asking for a full payment and we've signalled that we're actually only going for dollar for dollar, do we not leave ourselves somewhat short?
Yeah, I think the point would be, if there is going to be a push from the state government to get investment from Whittlesea for this, we don't want to be shortchanged. We do want to receive, a significant.
I understand that.
Yeah,
but what I'm asking to clarify is, in our advocacy program, do we not signal that we're only actually after half?
I'll change it to 95%, Chair.
Why not?
I just ask it. No, I just ask seriously in terms of a clarification.
Yeah, I think
that we don't leave ourselves short.
Obviously, if the state government wants to give more, we'll take that money and we'll use it to build the youth hub, because I think it'll be great for our community. I think this shows a level of commitment on behalf of council, but then also calls on the state government to, hey, if you want If you're pushing us for this, invest.
Okay.
Yeah.
As I said, I just wanted to
Yeah.
get it in my mind. That's what you do. Sorry, so we've had the mover and the seconder. Is there other speakers? Councillor Lappin.
You covered my question there as well, Chair, thank you. I just wanted to talk more broadly to a youth hub. And I'm going to echo a few points from Councillor Labrador as well. So I was really excited when this proposal for a dedicated youth hub came up. There is an incredible need, like amount of young people in the city of Whittlesea, and we know that number is expected to grow. Already, I think it's 25% of our municipalities under 18, so really large focus area there. Essentially, young people have a safe and accessible space to gather, to express themselves and to experiment, be creative. We are currently, and unfortunately, one of the very few councils without a youth hub, and we know from feedback that young people are travelling outside the municipality, I've used it twice, for appropriate third spaces. This proposal seeks to address that. Yeah, we have an exceptional youth development team here at Council. I want to thank them for bringing the proposal to the Chamber today and for all the briefings on the subject leading up to this point, which really went into detail the importance of the project and the difference it will make to our young community. We know the issues facing young people today, from increased isolation to a rise in issues related to mental health and wellbeing. But we also know that having a dedicated youth facilities, co-designed with their input, makes a significant and ongoing difference. A great deal of that feedback that makes up the data in this plan comes from young people themselves. These are their needs and their aspirations for the city of Whittlesea and what it can look like when we properly address that feedback. It's important that we take the responsibility to our young people seriously, and by committing to this project, we assert that we're listening and we're a council that represents them. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Lenberg.
Thank you, Chair. I support the changes that have been made to point 4 with the dollar for dollar investment. I think that the money that's been put up from the government at the moment is well below that. So the likelihood that they're going to go over 50% is pretty slim. We've also had another example in the municipality with the swimming pool in Mernda, where an MP has put forward a letter to say that we've been given 10 million when in fact the pool costs 80. With the fact that we can't raise that through increased rates, how are we going to put projects like this in place if we don't have the support of state and federal government? So I think that we should be looking at having points like this in motions moving forward to be able to get that traction. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Stowe.
I'd like to move an amendment that we take out the dollar for dollar investment. So note that council should resolve to invest in a youth hub. This is point 4. That council advocates the Victorian government for investment to support the development of a youth hub in accordance with Action 13 of Council's Community Action Plan, thereby opening up the opportunity for advocating fully for this youth hub, or more or less.
Sorry, you're going to have to put
Basically taking out the dollar for dollar so that we're not tied to 50%.
Yes, but you added words in.
I don't think she meant to. I think she's just saying it's state government for investment, so just taking out $1 for $1. I think that's what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay, so
to your point, not tying us up to 50%.
No, I'm trying to follow it. As I said, I was just making sure that there was no extra words. Yeah. So that's the intent of your amendment?
That's right, Chair.
Thank you. So Councillor Stowe moves. Is the mover prepared to accept the amendment? Councillor Labrador?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
No. Yeah.
Is there a seconder for the amendment? Councillor Zinni. Councillor Stowe, please speak to the amendment.
Well, it's merely a point of we totally need youth services in the City of Whittlesea, but the point was about not tying this policy to a 50%. So perhaps as a state elections coming up, as Councillor Labrador pointed out, that there might be something coming in the pipeline. So I wanted to take those words out so that we're not restricted to 50% of the funding.
Thank you. Councillor Zinni as the seconder.
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Stowe. I think the youth hub is an important aspect of next year's election with the crime that's happening in the youth area and how we are facing as a community youth crime. Youth need to be engaged, and this is the only way we're going to get people and youth to be engaged, through youth hubs. So the state government needs to put in more money. $500,000 is not enough, and we are advocating for $3 million. So whatever we come up through with the business case, wherever location, we would expect the Victorian government to match that investment in the best way possible. And if it means more than 50%, that's great. But we cannot go for an investment such as this without having the Victorian government step up to the plate.
Thank you. Speakers on the amendment, Councillor McLinden.
Yeah, it's, Chair, sort of, there's another hybrid version, but I guess what we're saying is we need money, we know that. The dollar for dollar, as Councillor Lenberg alluded to, is probably a realistic going to the table. You might want to whack the word minimum in there, minimum dollar for dollar, to keep all parties happy. But I think what we want to do is, we do want to have a benchmark there. I think it would be wise to have a benchmark, and maybe the minimum as a benchmark for $1 is probably the way to go. But that puts a third
You wish
spanner
to
in the works,
foreshadow
doesn't
that?
it? I've done enough foreshadowing today. I'll support the dollar for dollar in my terms.
No,
yeah.
it's all right. I was just asking the question. Okay. Other speakers on the amendment? Oh, sorry, yeah, Cass.
Thanks, Chair. So, Aidan, Councillor McLinden is not foreshadowing an amendment?
No.
Could I foreshadow an amendment to include minimum, just so that way we cover all our bases?
Mover. Yeah, you can't as mover.
I can't as mover?
No. Anyhow, we can get, it's foreshadowing is something else in the process that we're all going through tonight. Having fun. Speakers on the amendment, please. Okay, no speakers. I'll put the amendment, which is to strike out the words in red, to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. So it's Councillor Zinni, Councillor Stowe, Councillor Cox. All those against? So it's Councillor Labrador, Councillor Colwell, Councillor Gunn, Councillor McLinden, Councillor Taylor. All those abstaining? Sorry, you're still on the screen. Councillor, yeah, I get you. I got Councillor Lenberg. All abstaining? Councillor Lappin. Which is against? So the motion is lost. Okay, so we revert back to those words being included, and I'll go back to the speakers on the motion who haven't spoken. Councillor Colwell. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Youth hubs, often referred to as youth centres, are safe, welcoming places specifically designed to meet the needs of young people. Research shows that accessible youth hubs increase connection through strengthening peer relationships, increase protective factors in young people's life by building relationship with trusted adults, and improves the mental health, school engagement and employment readiness of young people. As a growing municipality with a large geographical area, City of Whittlesea has adopted a hub and spoke model where young people can engage with youth development officers at the youth hub locations, complemented by youth development officers outreaching to schools, community activity centres and places where young people congregate. As a council, we need to plan for the future needs of young people, and developing a business case, investigating potential sites and delivery of a youth hub is essential that we continue to deliver preventative and early intervention programs for young people and provide the best developmental opportunities for young people. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. Other speakers on the motion? Councillor Taylor.
Chair, this year we've had 2 alleged machete attacks occurred in Doreen. We've had an alleged aggressive, violent home invasion occurred in Laylaw. Simply, the issue relevant to the establishment of a youth hub is not only beneficial for youth and their mental health, but it's also beneficial for the community to have them engaged in a positive way. I fully support the endorsement of a development of a business case, so as we can review this further as a council.
Thank you. Other speakers? Being none, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour of the motion? So I'll call it Councillor Labrador, Councillor Zinni, Councillor Call, Councillor Cox. Oh, sorry, it is now unanimous. So, thank you. So that was carried unanimous. That's 5.6. 5.7 is 2025-26 Q1 community grants. Invite the Director of Customer and Corporate Services, Sarah Renner, and staff to present the item, please. Is it written?
Thank you,
Yes,
Chair.
thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, Council. I invite Adrian, our Manager, EPMO and Change, to introduce the paper.
Thank you and good evening, Mayor and Councillors. I present to you tonight the Community Grants Report for Q1 for the 25-26 financial year. This has been a very busy and great start with Q1 seeing 13 applications for small, medium and large grants received and 6 of these being funded, totalling $47,696. The full list of approved grants this quarter are found in the attachment, but some notable grants approved this quarter include the Valley Presbyterian Church Doreen Community Carols, celebrating Christmas in Doreen last Sunday with live carols, festive music, free rides and family fun, and also Big Group Hug, a safe place to sleep, assisting in the purchasing of baby mattresses and distributing them, along with donated cots to families in need. During this period, the Grant Management Steering Group approved 4 grant program guidelines for the Environmental Works Grant Program, the Senior Club Grants, Business to Business Grants, and the Community-Based Emergency Services Grant. The Community Grants team continued to engage both internally and externally, with notable events being 11th of September, the first grant information session, the 16th of September, the second grant information session, and on the 17th of September, a very successful grant writing workshop. Over 90 community members attended these 3 sessions. So I present this Q4 report for community grants and recommend that Council note the 25-26 Q1 Management Panel report. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions? Councillor Stowe.
I was just wondering, 90 people attending the grant workshops is fantastic. What was the sort of feedback, and what was were they business type people or community type people? What was the mix?
Thank you for the question. We had a great mix of community attend. So we had a lot of people that were first grant writers come to the grant writing workshop. And the feedback we received that it enabled them to draft some really robust community grants for the City of Whittlesea, but also use those skills to apply for other grants, and whether they be state government or other grants around other communities as well.
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you. Other questions? Councillor Labrador.
Thanks, Chair. I just had a question surrounding the service agreement that the City of Whittlesea has with neighbourhood houses. I was just wondering if Council could receive like a breakdown of the origin of that service agreement, like the amount, because I know it comes out quarterly. Just wanting to know sort of what the amount is, because we're going into a budget process next year. It'd be good to have those figures coming into that, because I know that they're struggling at the moment financially.
Thank you, Councillor Labrador. We can provide that at a future council briefing if you would prefer.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other questions? Thank you for the presentation. Appreciate it. And I'll ask for a mover of the motion. Councillor Labrador.
I move the motion as the officer recommendation on the screen.
Thank you. Seconded, Councillor Stowe. So, Councillor Labrador, if you wish to speak.
Yep. Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say thanks to the team for giving us this information on grants, and we appreciate the financial transparency on where our grants money is going. So, thank you, team.
Thank you. Councillor Stowe.
The community grants provide an excellent opportunity for community organisations and community engagement, and also for business propositions. So I think that it's fantastic that we've got this transparent report, but it's not about the report, it's not about the money, it's about the engagement that it brings to the community and the opportunity for people to engage and develop projects in the community. So thank you and congratulations to the grant team.
Thank you. Other speakers? Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor. I attended both the information session, or one of the information sessions, and one of the grant writing sessions, and it was fantastic. The staff of council in the presentation of both of those sessions provided a very in-depth program. The feedback from the people present that I received was outstanding, and I think it very significantly assists them in to be able to make application for a grant, but should they be successful in getting that grant not only assists them but also assists the City of Whittlesea because of the conditions of that grant. And I see it as a win-win. And when I see people walk out of those sessions and out of that workshop confident in what they needed to do in order to move forward, it's an outstanding indictment on the excellence of the council staff for the writing and development presentation of such a program.
Thank you. Other speakers? Being none, I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? It's carried unanimously. Being 7:53 and we're probably about halfway through the agenda, I'm just going to ask for a short 10-minute break, so 3 minutes past 8, roughly. Thank you. Thank you. We resume at 8:03 and we're moving to item 5.8, the 2025 to 29 Advocacy Prospectus. Item's been introduced by the Director of Customer and Corporate Services, Sarah Renner.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening again, Council. I also welcome to the table Esgy, our Unit Manager, Advocacy and Stakeholder Engagement, and I ask Jordan, our Chief Customer Officer, to introduce the paper.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, Council. Tonight we're here to seek endorsement of the Advocacy Prospectus 2025-29. The intention of Council's Advocacy Prospectus is to set the priorities and aspirations of the people who live, work and visit the City of Whittlesea and highlight opportunities to partner with all levels of government to address the challenges our community face as a growing municipality now and into the future. Each of the 12 priorities detailed within the prospectus have been informed by both evidence and community insights to reflect partnership opportunities across 5 key domains of housing, community services and infrastructure, public transport, roads, and environmental sustainability. The prospectus explicitly defines the asks, benefits, rationale, and return of investment for all 12 priorities in an evidence-led approach. The document will be used as a key resource to inform Council's 2026 state election campaign, the next federal election, as well as annual state and federal budget submissions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions from councillors? Not seeing any. Thank you for the presentation of the report. And I also note the award winners from the NGAA for the excellent work. Okay. Do I have a motion? Councillor Labrador.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move the motion that point 1, that Council adopt 2025-29 Advocacy Prospectus document at attachment 1, and an additional point 2, that section 2 of page 26, community safety and amenity, further incorporate the following advocacy points of A, increased police presence to keep Whittlesea safe, B, stronger deterrence of crime through increasing policing and community safety programs.
Okay, we need the wording. Is that? Oh, there it is. Okay, so that's being moved that way. Just have a question. I might just ask the Director, Customer Corporate Services to indicate whether that's able to be done.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the question. Council can take active measures for interventions that support state government and law enforcement with crime prevention through direct infrastructure investment at the neighbourhood level. This includes investment in place activation through better active travel networks, improvements to street lighting, passive surveillance in the way we design our parks and open spaces, and the installation of CCTV cameras. Additionally, social programs aimed at prevention as partnership opportunities for state and federal government with council can alleviate crime to improve perceptions of community safety. It is not recommended that council considers a subsequent advocacy campaign given the state government's revised tough bail laws. Thank you.
Sorry, can the Director just repeat that last comment for purposes of Council's hearing?
Yeah, noting the state government's revised tough bail laws introduced earlier this year, it is not recommended that Council considers a subsequent advocacy campaign under the endorsed community safety and amenity priority within the advocacy prospectus to the state government.
Thank you. Can I ask a specific question? Can it be incorporated into the prospectus, that wording?
So we can incorporate the 3 dot points, the 2 dot points if council approves this motion.
Thank you. That was the answer I needed. Okay, so now that's the motion, and it's seconded by Councillor Taylor. So, Councillor Labrador, speak.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks to Emma and the entire team for the effort that was put into the development of the advocacy prospectus. Obviously, advocacy is one of our most powerful tools as council to be able to achieve our objectives. I believe it to be necessary to add the additional advocacy points there of A and B to push the Victorian and federal governments to invest heavier into policing and to provide stronger deterrents to stop crime. Obviously, preventing crime is a bipartisan issue. The Labor Party are currently pushing an adult time, adult crime reform, and obviously the Liberal Party are running on a break bail, face jail law. It seems to be a bipartisan issue. We owe it to our community to uphold their best interests, which means keeping our children and our families safe. Whittlesea has no shortage of crime, and it has been, it's up there in sort of the top issues for the constituents, at least in my ward, in Laylaw, and having spoken to many residents. Obviously, people are being harmed, families are being broken, kids are dying in the streets. You know, Dow and Chol were murdered in Cobblebank in September. If we don't act as a council, we are letting our community down, and we are potentially responsible for the consequences if we don't act, if we don't advocate on behalf of the community that we serve. I'm seeking the endorsement of this motion on the basis that we need to protect our kids, our families, and our overall community. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Look, it's no doubt that these 12 priorities that have been highlighted within this advocacy perspective are important. Council has been advocating for them some time through the Northern Council Alliance, through the Outer Melbourne Councils, etc. We reflected in our communications with our local members of parliament. It is an agreed position that we've taken in the past and we're moving forward. Notwithstanding that, times are changing. Our roads need obviously better infrastructure. We need to improve the growth issues that we are currently experiencing now within our municipality. And we are, as Councillor Labrador says, experiencing significant aggressive violent crime being experienced within our municipality, and a couple of them I mentioned earlier. I think highlighting the perspective of what is already contained in Section 2 of community safety and amenity within the advocacy perspective just adds weight and reinforces to the community that your council is listening to what you're experiencing and what you're telling us on a day-to-day basis. And that this particular motion, as it's presented at the moment, reflects that. I do want to also reiterate the Director in her very direct presentation, but don't forget also that crime prevention through environmental design is an absolute criteria that we utilise within this council, as does every council, and for that reason I endorse the motion as presented.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move an amendment to the motion, and that being the removal of point 2, A and B, and returning to the officer's recommendation as the motion.
So the amendment would be just point number 1.
Correct.
Mover, you accept that?
No, Chair.
Thank you. The seconder, no. We're just going to show the screen, which is basically removal of point 2. Thank you. So that's the amendment. So it's moved by Councillor Colwell, seconder. Councillor Lappin. Councillor Colwell.
Thank you, Chair. Not too dissimilar to earlier today, where I obviously moved an amendment to the motion. We've all, as councillors, participated in the development of the prospectus through the consultations that we've had. Through that involvement, the community's been engaged, and we've sent the prospectus out for community consultation. And now we're finding ourselves at 1 minute to midnight where we're making changes on the fly. So it's more the process of how we're doing it rather than the substance of what we're proposing. I think it needs to be, we go through a process when we're looking at developing these documents. It's a robust process. We'll engage with everyone, that we're having these conversations. So it's more of an, I've got concerns about the way that we're doing business, and I think it's important that we return to the substantive motion around this is the prospectus that we've worked with through the course and is the appropriate one to release. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Cool. Councillor Lappin, is the second.
Yes, please. Thank you, Chair. Just sort of follow on from Councillor Colwell there as well, but I appreciate the sentiment behind it, and I appreciate that the want to look like we're being responsive to crime and to actively be responsive to any crime issue in the city of Whittlesea. I think what's already in the prospectus covers a lot of ground from what council can achieve, and I think it's important that we reflect back on what our level of government is. Obviously, we do advocate to other levels of government for support. The issues around crime prevention isn't as simple as, say, just having more police or having more of a presence. There's obviously issues at the police in terms of management and things like that, and certain structural problems there in terms of retaining of members and things like that, which would go beyond our advocacy. We can't be advocating for things that the state government isn't, well, not the state government, but the police itself won't be able to provide. And so we want to make sure that through our advocacy, the things we're advocating for are things that can be achieved, and that if we want to give a message that we want to provide safety in the community, we want to provide messages that we know that we can follow through with. Otherwise, we risk letting down our community on things that we can't follow through with properly. So I just had a few issues with the wording. I understand the sentiments, but I think overall, the document as it stands is a stronger document.
Thank you, Councillor Lappin. Any other speakers? Councillor McLinden.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I understand the reasoning and the sentiment for the amendment. However, I think it needs to be specific and measured. I know that there's about, 16 hours that the police station's manned in Whittlesea, for example. Mernda's under-resourced. We'd probably have to put a bit more thought into exactly where we need it and manned, etc. But I do think that the advocacy document addresses through the youth hub, through other issues that are indirect. And I would like to something much more succinct that we can benchmark. And, if anyone decides to run for the state election around this table, I can give you a few tips on what not to do. But but if you do decide to, I think that's an opportunity to make it more specific in terms of what the city needs, whereas this probably is just a bit more aspirational. So I'll probably want to stick to the original document. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Linden. Councillor Stowe.
Yes, I agree with Councillor Labrador's sentiments, and we do need to advocate for policing. However, we did do substantial work. We workshopped this advocacy piece, and we all agreed around the table as part of that workshop. I agree that there should be something in the advocacy plan that talks about police stations, maybe advocating for police stations, but that should be actually in the advocacy prospectus, and we did all workshop around the table. So I think to put this add-on as an add-on, I don't think that's appropriate. So I agree with this amendment that Councillor Cole has put forward.
Thank you. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Chair. As the people of Australia have seen over the last 3 days, incidents happen in our community that are unpredicted. And then we have to face the consequence of it because we're unprepared for it. In this particular regard, our particular advocacy perspective clearly stipulates the provision of preventive services in family violence, the reduction of the increase of safer neighbourhoods and those issues. Just because an incident hasn't happened recently since the development of this particular program doesn't mean it won't happen tomorrow or next week, as we saw in Bondi. And I think in this particular regard, the advocacy motion needs to be such so as this council is prepared to look after the benefits of the people in which we've been elected to represent. And for that reason, I totally oppose the further amendment to the motion.
Thank you. Other speakers? Councillor Zinni.
Thank you, Chair. Look, I think crime and safety in our community is something we're always going to be advocating for. I think what we should be doing is not adding things to the advocacy prospectus, but maybe looking at our community safety and crime prevention strategy and looking at maybe next year adding more of this to it, because the advocacy can go further than what's just written there. I could be advocating to an MP about putting in extra police presence. I could for trying to make Whittlesea safe. But in the end, if we don't have a strategy behind these, it's not the right place to be putting these into an advocacy prospectus. We should be putting it into some sort of crime prevention strategy. And this is something that I'll be looking at putting through next year and having it come to briefing, and we can have a really good debate about it. But I don't think it's the right place to be adding things after the fact that we've workshopped it, we've had our briefings, and now at this stage we're adding it. It's not the right process, and I agree with Councillor Caldwell.
Thank you. Other councillors? You've already spoken. Any other councillors that haven't spoken on the amendment? Being none, I'll put the amendment to the vote, which appears on the screen. It strikes out all of point 2. All those in favour? I'll call it. Councillor Zinni, Councillor Cole, Councillor Cox, Councillor Stowe, Councillor Lappin, Councillor McLinden, Councillor Gunn, and Councillor Lenberg. I know you're there. All those against? Councillor Labrador and Councillor Taylor? I've got that. That should be, and the motion is carried. Thank you. So we move back to the original officer recommendation as the now motion, and I'll ask for any speakers on that, other than the mover and the seconder who have already spoken. So, Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Mayor. The advocacy prospectus outlines 12 priorities across 5 domains focusing on housing, community services and infrastructure, public transport, roads and environmental sustainability. Underpinned by evidence and community consultation, the advocacy prospectus will be a key advocacy tool for the 2026 state election campaign at the state level. I thank the officers for their work in developing the prospectus and working with councillors through the workshops, and I look forward to drawing on it as we engage with our state and federal colleagues in the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you. Other speakers? Being none, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. 5.9, the quarterly corporate performance report, quarter 1. And I invite the Director of Customer Corporate Services, Sarah Renner, to introduce.
Thank you, Chair. Excuse me. I have with me tonight Aaron, our Chief Financial Officer, and I would like to invite Rahul, our Unit Manager, Financial Strategy and Performance, to introduce the paper.
Thank you, Sarah, and good evening, Council. The purpose of this report is to present the quarterly corporate performance report for 30 September 2025, which covers the Community Action Plan, good governance, capital works performance, and financial performance. Starting with the Community Plan 2021 to 2025 was successfully completed on 30th of June 2025, with 361 actions delivered out of 362. One ongoing actions will continue into 2025-26 and will be reported through the new Community Action Plan. Council endorsed the Community Plan 2025 to 2029 in October 2025, setting out 55 strategic priorities, including 46 actions to be delivered in 2025-26. Progress will be reported from Q2 onwards. From a good governance perspective, Council continue to deliver good governance and make informed decisions. These include the circulation of biannual personal interest returns to nominated officers, of which all were received within the required time frame. Moving to capital works performance, year-to-date capital works expenditure totals 17 million, reflecting steady progress across the program. Expenditure has been influenced by the accelerated delivery of several projects, which have progressed ahead of the schedule. On the financial performance, council operating surplus was $215 million, which is $2 million unfavorable to the year-to-date budget. The unfavorable variance is primarily due to 50% of the 2025-26 assistant grant being paid at the end of the last financial year. The outcome for the Q1 forecast review is anticipating an operating surplus of $142 million, which is $10 million unfavorable to the adopted budget. I would like to highlight that operating surplus is an accounting result only and doesn't constitute excess cash available for council to spend. It is largely made up of either non-cash items such as asset contributions received from developers or cash items that are restricted by legislation. I propose the recommendations as outlined in the report. Thank you.
Now I turn myself off. Try again. I've asked for the mover of the motion, and Councillor Zinni has moved the motion, which is?
I move the motion as the officer's recommendation.
Thank you, and seconded by Councillor Taylor. Everybody's now tuned in. So I'll ask Councillor Zinni, do you wish to speak?
No, I don't actually. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Taylor, do you wish to speak?
Thanks, Chair. I'm glad you've turned yourself on. But in this particular regard, I think this particular quarterly report's well constructed, well read, very easy to read, and the presentation made it also very easy to understand and incorporate. And for those, I commend the staff for the development of it in this format, and for those reasons, I'm happy to second this motion as it is.
Thank you. Any other councillors wish to speak? Being none, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. 5.10 is the contract variation 2022 to 46 telecommunications mobiles. And it's being presented by the Director of Customer and Corporate Services, Sarah Renner, please.
Thank you, Chair and Council. Mark joins me up here as Coordinator Procurement Services Technology, and I invite Neme, our Unit Manager Technology Infrastructure and Support, to introduce a paper.
Thank you, Sarah, and good evening, everyone. Our current mobile telecommunication contract with Telstra is expiring at the end of December. We are seeking approval to extend until 30th of April 2028. This contract is utilising the MAV telecommunication contract. A 28-month extension will bring it in line with the MAV contract end date of 30th of April 2028. The contract has performed satisfactorily to date. We are seeking authorisation for the CEO to sign contract extension on behalf of the Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just looking at in relation to this, was there any tender process entered into in relation to selecting the additional contract to this particular telecommunications provider?
Thank you for the question. The MAV do the public tender on behalf of the 74 Victorian councils, and they put up their winning tenders on in a panel that we can select from.
So were there other providers also allowed to make application for that tender?
Definitely all providers that were invited to put a presentation on.
And my last question is, as a result of the tendering process that Council has, was this particular contract assessed against that process? So in relation to the tendering process that Council has for evaluation of those people who place tenders for services put out by Council, was this particular telecommunications provider assessed with others as part of that tender and determined to be the best?
Thank you for the question. The answer is yes. It is not council's tender process. It is MAV's tender process, which is in line with council processes as well.
Thank you. Any other questions? Being none, thank you for the presentation. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Lappin, seconded Councillor Gunn. What's the motion, Councillor Lappin?
I support the officer's recommendation as the motion, Chair.
Thank you. And Councillor Gunn, do you wish to speak?
No, thanks, Chair. That's fine.
Thank you. Councillor Gunn?
Again, we had quite a detailed briefing on this one. It is a MAV negotiated tender process. It is a good deal. We use a lot of the MAV tendering because it does get us such a good deal, and this extension basically lines us up with the MAV's time cycle. So I think it's a good idea, and I support the motion.
Thank you. Is there any other speakers? Being none, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour? I'll call it. Councillor Labrador, Councillor Zinni, Councillor Caldwell, Councillor Cox, Councillor Stowe, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Lappin, Councillor Gunn. All those against? Oh, sorry. Councillor Lemberg. All those against? And abstaining? Councillor McLinden. Motion is carried. We move to item 5.11, the governance rules, and invite Manager Office of Council and the CEO, Executive Manager, sorry, to introduce the item.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to advise the Council of the community feedback received between the period 19 November to the 2nd of December 2025. The feedback provided thoughtful perspectives, particularly around the proposed changes to the notices of motions. Of the 57 submissions received, 14 submissions were identical. Other proposed changes included such things as increased speaking times for councillors when speaking to a motion and increased times for officers to introduce a report, clarification around when a councillor has a right of reply, clarification around the lodgement of electronic petitions or joint letters. After a thorough consideration of the submissions, officers are seeking Council's consideration and approval of the amendments previously resolved by Council when putting the governance rules out for consultation. The proposed final governance rules are aimed at strengthening the principles of good governance for Council, improve transparency and ensure efficient decision making. Officers recommend the adoption of the governance rules at attachment 1 to the report.
Thank you. Is there any questions? Being none, mover of the motion, Councillor Caldwell. Moving.
Excuse me, sorry, Chair. Moving the officer's recommendation as the motion, please.
Okay. Is there a seconder? Councillor Gunn. I'll ask Councillor Caldwell if you wish to speak.
Thank you, Chair. The review and proposed adoption of the governance rules ensures that the City of Whittlesea maintains good governance practice. Some of the proposed changes will see speaking times for councillors moving and responding to motions increasing, and will require the support of additional council to call a notice of motion or a notice of rescission. The proposed governance rules are in the spirit with the recommendations made by the recent monitors reports, including Glen Ira Shire Council, City of Greater Geelong, Moonee Valley City Council and Brimback City Council, which highlighted concerning practices around notice of motions. I'm aware, both through the community consultation and debate that we've had in the chamber, that there are concerns that the proposed draft governance rules don't align with democratic principles. Indeed, requiring the support and consultation with your elected peers to raise a notice of motion is firmly based in democratic principles and good governance practice. We as councillor group to date have worked collegially in raising notice of motions. Good governance rules are not just for fair weather, however, anticipate and mitigate potential dysfunction and model best practice. For this reason, I'll be supporting the adoption of these governance rules. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Colwell. Councillor Guns, the seconder. Sorry.
I think Councillor Colwell summed that up very well. I don't think I have anything further to add.
Thank you. Councillor Zinni. Sorry.
Thank you, Chair. I wish to propose an amendment to the mover and seconders as follows. To resolve point 1, resolve to adopt the governance rules as attachment 1 with the following amendments. Rule 21.1.2, wording replaced from signed by at least 1/3 of the total number of councillors with signed by at least 3 councillors. Rule 21.2.2, wording replaced from is not signed by at least 1/3 of the total number of councillors with not signed by at least 3 councillors. And Rule 39.1.1, wording replaced from it has been signed and dated by 1/3 of the total number of councillors with it has been signed and dated by at least 3 councillors. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that the wording on the screen in red, please?
Yes, it is, Chair.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder to the amendment? Sorry, I can firstly ask, does the mover accept the amendment?
Please just give me one moment just to consider this. Chair, I do believe that obviously the amendment to the motion still carries the same spirit of what was being proposed in the governance rules. So at this point, I'm prepared to accept that as an amendment.
Okay. Councillor Gunn, you're the seconder. Do you accept that? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. On that basis, it becomes the substantive motion. So it can come out of the black. Sorry, come out of the red. Sorry? Yeah. Yep, we're right. So just for clarification, I just want to make sure my head, 21.1.2 and 22.2, as I recall, are the notice of motion ones, and 39.1.1 is the rescission rules.
That is correct, Chair.
Thank you. Is everyone clear on that? Thank you. So that's now the substantive motion. We've had the mover and seconder. Other speakers? Councillor McLinden.
Thank you, Chair. I can speak against it, can I?
Yep.
I think the status quo of what we had, which was to move a notice of motion for one councillor and signed or a signatory by a second, was suffice. I don't think there's been any evidence anywhere that that process has been abused or, overstretched. And I think when I look at the democracy that happens here in the nucleus of the city, when you've got a councillor or at least 2 signing a motion, you're talking roughly about 40 to 50,000 people that they represent collectively, those 2 councils. Now, I don't want to see us in a situation where we're strengthening or reducing that level of democracy that currently exists, that all of a sudden that could expand to 70, 80,000, 90, 100,000. And I think what we do then by having the pool of councillors increased, there will be issues, and it will probably happen to any single one of us, throughout the duration of this term, where we're going to desperately seek at least someone's. It could be a sensitive an issue. It could be an issue, as I said previously, of minorities that find it very difficult to get their issue on the agenda. I mean, it well could be seconded by a councillor who may not even support it, but someone may be very passionate about an issue that needs to come to this place, be debated on and decided upon. So I think by increasing that benchmark or the threshold of having councillors an increase of councillors on those issues, I think could potentially negate some issues that potentially could be addressed in here that would otherwise be sidelined. I want to protect and foster the democracy that we have, rather than dilute it and make it, that challenge or that hurdle even again. So I'm a big believer that we should keep the status quo and even have a cooling off period of 24 or 48 hours once that motion has passed before it's enacted would be desirable. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Councillor. Other speakers? Councillor Lappin.
Thank you, Chair. So I speak in support of the motion. I understand the concerns which Councillor McLinden raises. I think having 3 councillors is a fairly reasonable number, and I think we want to make sure that our notice of motions coming to the table are reasonable. And so I think having this group of councillors works quite well together. I think it's not a large ask to get 3 councillors to sign on for a notice of motion. I don't see it getting in the way of any kind of debate or democracy in any way like that. So I think as it stands, the motion is strong, and I think this going forward, it'll make us even more stronger as a council group by getting further support for those notice of motions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Labrador, you were next at my list, that's all.
Thank you, Chair. I'm still figuring out the process am I able to make an amendment to the substantive motion?
Yes, you can move an amendment.
I would like to make an amendment to point 1 that adds a point D, 1D, that says remove Rule 21.1.3 of the notice of motion section.
Sorry, we'll just bring that up on the screen and thank you. It's the wording in red now.
Yes, Chair.
So you're moving that as an amendment. Is the mover accepting that? Sorry, the rule 21.1.3 is the...
Only call for an officer report to be presented at a future council meeting. Yeah, so 21.1.3 reads, only call for an officer report to be presented at a future council meeting.
Okay, so we're clear on that. Councillor Colwell, you're the mover. Are you accepting the amendment?
No, Chair.
Thank you. Is there a seconder to the amendment? Councillor Taylor. Councillor Labrador, you're speaking to the amendment, please.
Thank you, Chair. I think it's important for Council, if we are going to put forward a notice of motion, that we are not hamstrung to be only requesting a report. I think there are certain powers bestowed upon us as councillors that we need to act hastily, and sometimes if we are to only be able to request a report with a notice of motion, that would set back decisions by council by however long it might take to get that report done. And if there are decisions that need to be made, we need to act, and we need to not be hamstrung by that rule. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Taylor, you're the seconder.
I have nothing further to add. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Is there any speakers on the amendment? Councillor Colwell.
Thank you, Chair. Well, appreciating and understanding the intention of Councillor Labrador's proposed amendment, I would make the point that there are several avenues that we have in terms of, in cases that he's describing, where we can have items of urgent business, which I do believe aren't limited to only producing a report. So we've got those mechanisms available within the governance rules. I would make the point that having a report delivered to council is good practice, and again, doesn't limit us in terms of any financial potential boundaries, those aspects, but it's good practice to go, all right, let's get a report that fully explores and ventilates the issues that we're concerned with, and that comes back to council with recommendations, and we can indeed then make amendments to that particular recommendations to demonstrate that what the council body, the wishes of the council body. Thank you.
Thank you. Other speakers on the amendment? Councillor Stowe.
Well, I understand what Councillor Colwell is saying. We have, in fact, brought notices of motion to council this year that were not about providing reports and were actually calling upon us to take action. So I agree with Councillor Labrador's amendment that if we're restricted to say we can only bring a report, then that could restrict us on taking the actions and some of the actions that we took earlier, like in February. So I agree with this amendment.
Thank you. Councillor McLinden.
Yep, just a reiteration of the parameters would be, I think, too tight in terms of what we could include in the notice of motion, so I'll be supporting Councillor Labrador's amendment.
Thank you. Other speakers? Councillor Zinni.
It's important to be clear that these governance changes do not change a councillor's right to create or submit a notice of motion. Every councillor still has the same opportunity to raise issues they believe are important. The governance rule amendment to move 2 to 3 signatures encourages broader relevance and prevents the same councillors from always pairing up, and allows councillors the freedom to decide whether to sign without feeling obliged or feel they need to owe a councillor a return favour. Even when a motion starts with 2 signatures, discussions usually do extend to at least another person, another councillor. So there's your 3 before it reaches the chamber. Requiring 3 signatures formalises a process that already happens informally. It also acknowledges in the case
I'm
that
reluctant to interfere, but the current amendment relates to the report, not the actual voting strength.
Okay, I'll keep going.
Sorry. Yeah, thank you.
Having that removal of the Rule 21.1.3 to only have notice of motions go up and come back as a report, I agree with Councillor Labrador.
Thank you. Anyone who hasn't spoken? Councillor Lappin.
I think it's more clarifying, but I think in terms of the wording of 21.1.3, I think what we can ask for in a notice of motion remains broad, but what it basically means is that what we ask for, we get a report back to council. So I think what this does is that if we have something that comes to council, it gets supported, it goes up as a notice of motion, that we then get officers' feedback on that change before we then implement that and make that policy. So I think I don't see 21.13 as getting in the way of that process. I think what that does is strengthens the process to make sure that what we decide on the 9th through a notice of motion then goes through the relevant checks and balances to make sure that it is going to be a benefit or that's going to work within our council group. So I think the wording of it may look as though we're restricted, but I think what it means is that, just what I've been saying, what we put up then gets checked and goes through the right process. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. Anything else? Nope. Did you put your hand up? Sorry, that's what I was looking for. There you go. Councillor Member.
Look, I agree with point D. I wanted to ask a question. Can we put something additionally in there that gives us a cooling off period with regard to this? I think last time, from my perspective, this all seemed to be rushed through very quickly. I would like the ability to revisit this after everyone's had a sleep on it. But is that a possibility?
Once the governance rules are adopted, we'd have to start the process again in terms of the full consultation process. So effectively, the answer would be no. Do you wish to speak? Because you asked for a clarification there, and I'm happy to hear you speak further if you wish.
No, look, I think that the last time that this went through on the night of the elections, we were looking at a rescission of a certain point, and it wasn't possible because it had already been enacted. I mean, I don't even know, is actioning something an email or a corridor chat? I don't know, but it just seemed like it was very quick and it didn't allow us any time to look at a rescission motion. So that was just my concern in raising that point.
Okay, and I'll ask the Executive Manager of Office to answer that question.
Yeah. If I understand correctly, Councillor Lemberg, what you're seeking is a further amendment, which you can propose that relates to rescission motions, but we need to deal with this amendment in the first instance before you put another amendment forward.
Sure, thank you.
I think we've got everybody. So I'm going to put the amendment, which is in red, item D. All those in favour? So it's Councillor Labrador, Councillor Zinni, Councillor Stowe, Councillor Taylor, Councillor McLinden and Councillor Lemberg. All those against? Councillor Colwell, Councillor Cox, Councillor Lappin and Councillor Gunn. The motion is carried, so that becomes now part of the substantive motion. So we go back to the substantive motion now, and anyone wish to speak? Councillor Colwell.
Thank you, Chair. Well, democracy in action, as you see it right before you.
Apologies, Councillor Colwell. You're the mover. Yeah, you've already spoken. Apologies. Anybody else? Councillor Zinni, sorry.
Yes, thank you. So look, the reasoning behind my idea of bringing this to an amendment to go to 3 was also the practicality of the fact that a mayor and deputy mayor may have proposing a notice of motion and wanting to move and second that notice of motion. And unfortunately, if they do swap chairs, there's not a third person to speak to that motion in support. So that's why in cases where the mayor and deputy mayor have taken the chair, I believe that we do need that third person moving forward. Thank you.
Okay. Other speakers? None? Oh, Councillor? No? Thought I saw their hand. Look, I only just want to add a little bit in. It's more an insight than anything. I'm not fussed one way or the other, to be honest, in terms of process. The one thing I'll give you is a bit of history. Is my father was a councillor in Coburg in 1957, and he was elected and sat at the table as one councillor against the rest, and he waited 3 years before one of his colleagues got elected, and his first comment after that was that I can play, I won't use the word he used, games as a result because he had a seconder of the resolution. I do want to also draw attention to the comment that there is no evidence that we're using this in this council. In this council, I agree, at this time. In this council in the past, it was an issue. The numbers of notices of motion that were up here regularly and led to a report by a monitor to say that we were totally dysfunctional. That led to the dismissal of the council. That's what we've got to be on guard against, and that's what I'm concerned about. And at the Merrill training that I attended last 2 weeks ago, that was very clear. There was a number of councillors that made it very clear that they had concerns because there was one council that had, on average, 2.7 motions from one councillor at every meeting. And one council mayor told me that she had 8 motions at the next council meeting as notices of motion. That's not good governance. That's the point that I make. It's up to the council. As I said, I'm not adverse one way or the other. I understand, but there can be behavioural problems. So, right of reply is to Councillor Colwell.
Thank you, Mayor. like I started before earlier, I mean, democracy in action. It's obviously, you know, it's my belief that the most ideal motion would be that a report, that we have those safeguards around a report coming to council. Then there's the opportunity to make those additional changes in that space. Nevertheless, I will bend to the will of my collective colleagues, and accept that that's the wishes of us as a council group. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So the substantive motion. Sorry? I've got to put it to a vote unless there's a clarification question.
Yeah, there is, Councillor Cox. At what point can I put in an amendment? I'm just a bit confused as to the process.
With the debate is closed, unfortunately, and we've had the right of reply. So
Okay.
You can't put an amendment now. I have to put this to a vote.
Sure.
Okay. So I'll put the substantive resolution as on the screen to a vote. And I ask all those in favour, raise your hands. So we have Councillor Zinni, Councillor Colwell, Councillor Cox, Councillor Stowe, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Lappin, Councillor Gunn. And against, we have Councillor Labrador, Councillor Lenberg, Councillor McLinden. The motion is carried. Thank you.
Can I ask a point of clarification? Just while we're going through that motion, at what point could have Councillor Lenberg actually put up an amendment? Because I thought that he was waiting. You said that he could, we were going through this process and he had to wait for that process.
No. An amendment can be moved at any time during the debate. A councillor can foreshadow an alternate resolution, but it can't be contrary to the intent of the resolution. Sorry, I'll ask the Governance Officer.
Yeah. So Councillor Lenberg could have put up or put an amendment up once the previous amendment was put to the vote and it was carried. So at any time prior to Councillor Colwell having his right of reply, Councillor Lenberg could have raised his hand and asked to put an amendment up.
So I apologise, Councillor Lenberg, if you missed that opportunity, but unfortunately I...
I misunderstood. I need to get up to speed on that, so that's my bad.
That's what I say, if you'd raised your hand and moved the amendment before I called the right of reply, you would have had an opportunity to move an amendment at that point. Does that, Councillor
Well, as a point of clarification, I thought that Councillor Lenberg did want to move an amendment and I was waiting for that amendment, but it seemed that we weren't kind of advised on that point where we could move that amendment or put it on the table. So now I'm confused because you did tell him to wait and he waited and then it didn't come back. That's all.
Okay. I can only but apologise because I didn't recall going back to another amendment, but that's me. I would advise councillors generally, and I'll just make this point, we're going through a lot of the testing procedures of the meeting procedures tonight, and very entertaining. I have to say, if we're going to move amendments and documents along those lines, if they're in writing before the meeting commences, it makes it a whole lot easier for the process. If I've missed an opportunity for someone putting their hand up, putting your hand up does draw my attention, and I should have responded if that was the case, and I apologise to Councillor Lenberg if I've missed that. But I called the right of reply. Under the governance rules, I'm required to put the matter to a vote, which I've done. The matter has now been dealt with. We now move on to 5.12, and again I call the Manager of Office of Council and CEO.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to promote best practice, ensure good governance principles are adhered to, and for transparent and accountable reporting. This month, the governance report provides a summary of informal meetings of Council held between the period 17th September to the 10th of December 2025. The officer's recommendation seeks council to note the summary provided at attachment 1 to the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? See none. Ask for a mover. Councillor Taylor, seconder.
Thanks, Chair. I move as the motion, the officer's recommendation.
Thank you. And the seconder is Councillor Lappin. Councillor Taylor, you wish to speak?
Thanks, Chair. Effective governance suggests that we must adequately record our informal meetings of council. I've reviewed this document and to my records it is accurate and therefore I endorse this motion.
Thank you. Councillor Lappin.
Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Being none, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour? It is carried unanimously. Thank you. 5.13, the appointment of council representatives to committees. Again, the Executive Manager, Office of Council and CEO.
Thank you, Chair. On an annual basis, Council is required to appoint representatives on external organisations, committees and boards, as well as Council-managed advisory committees. This report is seeking Council move a motion that nominates councillors or officer representatives on each organisation, committee and board within tables A to C outlined in the officer report. It should be noted that the Mayor of the Day must be appointed on certain committees due to their respective terms of reference or charters. For example, the Mayor must be appointed to the Outer Melbourne Councils, Northern Councils Alliance and the CEO Employment Matters and Advisory Committee. Full details of each organisation, committee and board is contained within the body of the officer report. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Councillor Taylor.
Is it, Chair, do you propose to go through one committee at a time in order to determine which councillors will nominate for each, or do you propose just to do it as a block?
I was proposing to do it as a block.
I do have an issue in relation to one of the committees at the appropriate time.
But you can pull, but you can you can move an amendment to pull that out. So I'm not knocking that out. Councillor Core.
Yes, Chair. I'd like to move a motion.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'd like the motion to as follows, and I just caution everyone it will take a while to get through this, so yeah, bear with me. That council, 1, appoint the following councils to the statewide, metropolitan, regional and Whittlesea-based organisations as listed at Table A for a period of up to 12 months. As follows. Municipal Association of Victoria, Councillor Cox and Councillor Stowe as proxy. Australian Local Government Women's Association Incorporated, Councillor Stowe until 30th of the 6th, 26. Outer Melbourne Councils, Councillor Cox and Councillor Colwell as proxy. Metropolitan Transport Forum Incorporated, delegate appointed by CEO. Northern Alliance for Greenhouse Action Executive, Councillor Lappin. Northern Council Alliance, Councillor Cox and Councillor Stowe. Victorian Local Government Association, Councillor Stowe and Councillor Zini proxy until 30th of the 6th, 26. Whittlesea Community Futures Partnership, Councillor Zini. Yarra Plenty Regional Libraries Board, Councillor Taylor and Councillor Stowe. Municipal Emergency Management Planning Committee, Councillor Taylor. Whittlesea Multicultural Communities Council, Councillor Brooks and Councillor Lemberg proxy. City of Whittlesea Community Awards Committee, Councillor Gunn. Whittlesea Reconciliation Group, Councillor Colwell. Whittlesea Youth Commitment Advisory Group, Councillor Colwell. Council appoint to the new Growth Areas Alliance Strategic Advisory Committee remains as resolved by Council on the 26th of July 2025. And I'll just take a moment there. I am mindful that we've adopted, obviously, the WAGPAG terms of reference, and I'm just having a look. Should that be in this Table B? No worries. I just want to check that. Point 2, Note the Mayor, Councillor Cox, will be appointed to the Outer Metropolitan Councils and Northern Councils Alliance in accordance with their respective terms of reference and charter. Yep. No, that's all right. Point 3, appoint the following councils to the Council Advisory Committee as listed in Table B for a period of up to 12 months as follows. City of Whittlesea Disability Advisory Panel, Councillor Gunn. Whittlesea Disability Network, Councillor Brooks and Councillor Lappin Proxy. City of Whittlesea Business Advisory Panel, Councillor Lemberg and Councillor Cowell Proxy. Whittlesea Aboriginal Gathering Place Advisory Group, Councillor Zini. And point 4, resolve to amend the CEO employment and remuneration policy at clause 2.1. Membership to read, CMAC will comprise of the Mayor, A, the Mayor, B, 3 councillors, and C, 1 independent chair appointed by council in accordance with this policy. And clause 5.5, a majority of council or members of CMAC constitutes a quorum meeting, meaning 3 councillors are in attendance with the independent chair. Point 5, appoint the following councillors to the City of Whittlesea Standing Committee listed at Table C for a period of up to 12 months as follows. Audit and Risk Committee, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Lamberg and Councillor McLinden Proxy. Sorry. Excuse me. Oh, sorry if I was talking too close to the mic. CEO, yes, I'll keep going. CEO Employment Matters Committee, Advisory Committee, Councillor Cox, Councillor Cowell, Councillor Gunn and Councillor Zini. Hearings of Submissions Committee, Councillor Stowe, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Cowell, Councillor Lappin and Councillor Labrador. And councillors appointed to the Epping Cemetery Trust remain for the remainder of this council term as resolved in November 2024. Thank you.
You got it. There was just a couple of changes on the screen which we need to do.
Do you want to just quickly whiz down and just check that? Yeah, we'll just check that first page first.
Just make sure that we've got all the wording right, including the change to the terms of reference CMAC committee.
Yes, I'd like to confirm that that's the motion on the screen.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a seconder? Councillor Gunn? Oh, sorry, not Councillor Zini. Who wants to do it? Councillor Gunn. So, That's been moved. Do you wish to speak to it, Councillor Caldwell?
Yes, very briefly, Chair. Obviously, councillors' participation in committees deliver important outcomes, ensure our advocacy efforts are realised, and council is working collaboratively with the community. The list of committees demonstrates the breadth and volume of the work that councillors and council does, and obviously the work that we do in that space. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Gunn?
I'd like to reiterate what Councillor Colwell said, that this does show some of the depth and breadth of our responsibilities as councillors with all of these groups. I think that the listing is well balanced and provides some new opportunities for people, as well as keeping some consistency going forward. So I will support the motion.
Thank you. Other speakers? Councillor Taylor?
Thank you, Chair. I propose an amendment to the motion at point 5.
Can you move your microphone a bit closer, please? Sorry.
I propose an amendment to the motion at clause 5.2 to include on the CEO Employment Matters Advisory Committee, Councillor Labrador.
As an addition?
As a member of that particular committee, whether it be taken to 5 or 6 persons on that committee, or whether it be reviewed as to a vote as to which councillors will be endorsed for that committee.
Sorry. Yep. Sorry, CEO just wants to raise a point.
Yeah, two things. One, we need to check whether the councillor being nominated is willing to do that. However, you need to amend the other part of the document, which has the number of members of the committee, if you're going to make that change.
Which originally was in motion 4, but it was now been amended. So motion 3, but it's been amended there.
So it's in 4 there.
Yes. So in that regard,
4B.
if we were not to amend that, I propose then that 4B would be taken to 4 or 5 councillors, or the people nominated on that council, excluding the mayor, Chair, because you have to be on that committee.
Hang on, just one step at a time. Sorry, Councillor Labrador, are you clarifying something, or?
Just clarifying whether the amendment is for 4 or for 5.
No, well, yeah, sorry, that's...
No, all good.
Yeah, no, I just thought you might have had a clarification on the procedure, that's all. So, Councillor Taylor, yes, the issue is if you're moving an amendment to incorporate Councillor Labrador into the current committee, that would require an amendment to 4B in the first instance, to go to an extra councillor, and then we would deal with the nomination process if that was successful, and if that was unsuccessful, you would then move an amendment in relation to the committee nominations that have been put.
In that regard, then, preempting the fact that paragraph 4 will be amended again, I propose an amendment to paragraph 4 to include the mayor and 4 councillors.
Okay. So that's the amendment. No. No, you gotta do- Okay, I'm advised that the amendment could also incorporate Councillor Labrador in the nomination. We'll do it that way.
Sorry, Chair, just a point of clarification. I am mindful that clause, I've had the addition of, at the end of point 4 and clause 5.5, a majority of council members of CMAC constitutes quorum, meaning 3 councillors. I'm just trying to think, yes, if we were to add an additional 6 councillors, just being very clear that we're having a total of 5 councillors on the CMAC, so that quorum still remains functioning at 3. I just want to check that.
Yes. Yeah. So the amendment is in the red, 4 councillors and Councillor Labrador's name on the, whatever the, I can't even read that. 5 point dot whatever. So that's been moved by councillor Taylor. Seconder? Sorry, does the mover accept that?
No, Chair.
Thank you. Seconder?
No.
Yep. So, a seconder to the amendment of councillor Taylor. Councillor Labrador. Okay. Councillor Taylor, you wish to speak?
With regard to the motion, Chair, at paragraph 5.2, my rationale is that I note that both the Deputy Mayor and the Mayor are on the CEO Employment Matters Advisory Committee, and I just want to attempt to avoid any possibility of direct or indirect bias because of the close relationship, working relationship that you're doing as part of our leadership team, that's all.
Councillor Taylor, you
I'm not
come...
suggesting there is a bias,
Yeah,
I'm just trying
Thank
to
you.
avoid it.
That's very close to the wind. Okay, that's your contribution as mover. Thank you, councillor Labrador, as seconder.
Yep, thank you, Chair. I think the only thing I'd like to say is that I believe I've got the necessary skills to add to the CMAC committee and that I could provide a different point of view that would, give a better picture to the rest of council within the actions of CMAC. Thanks.
Okay. Other speakers? Councillor Lenberg? No, I didn't think. Sorry, someone else was pointing. I'm missing. Other speakers? Councillor Stowe.
Well, just from my perspective, putting councillor Labrador on that committee, I think that if it's not that committee, then the only other committee that he's part of is the hearings submission committee. So I think it's... No?
Business Advisory Committee as well.
Okay, all right. I retract my point.
Thank you. Other speakers? Councillor Zinni.
Thank you, Chair. I think we have to realise that we've already put in an extra councillor to balance that sort of perceived bias. And I just want to say, if we keep adding councillors, we have to understand the CMAC Advisory Committee is always going to be going back to the councils and councillors, because it isn't something that a committee that just relies on those people in there to make decisions. It relies on the whole collective to make decisions on the CEO's employment matters, especially his KPIs. We don't need to add extra councillors to negate some sort of perceived bias. We need to keep it as it is. We've added one already, and that should be sufficient. So I'm not supporting the new amendments.
Thank you. Other speakers? Being none. I'm reluctant to end the debate, but I do make the point, similar to Councillor Zinni, there's so many people that you can have on a committee, and a good working committee is obviously structurally got to be sound. It was put to me, and I've written to each councillor, that of the perceived bias that may be on the committee. I was hoping that might have addressed that. I didn't propose initially an extra member, but to pick up on that point of the perceived bias of the existing members, and it doesn't matter whether it's a deputy mayor or another member. The consistent approach was about having people understand the roles and get experience in those roles over the period. We did it with the Library Committee, the Audit and Risk Committee, and we were doing it with the CMAC Committee. It was the functional push that was being made. Having taken the full and frank conversations with my colleagues, didn't necessarily disagree with them. Didn't necessarily agree, but took on board those comments and put the proposal of the extra councillor going on to CMAC to provide that offset balance. I think adding another one is probably going to cause more issues than it solves. So My concern is how far do we go? And again, it goes back to the debate, do you have the whole council sitting on CMAC? How far do you stop? So I make those comments. I will put the amendment moved by Councillor Taylor to a vote. All those in favour? So, Councillor Labrador, Councillor McLinden, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Stowe. All those against? So it's Councillor Zinni, Councillor Colwell, Councillor Cox, Councillor Lappin, Councillor Gunn, and abstaining, Councillor Lenberg. Can you please show your hand? Thank you. So I know for the record. So on that basis, the amendment is lost. I will now return back to the original motion, which Councillor Colwell and Gunn have spoken to. And is there any other speakers on that motion? Sorry? No?
Yes.
Sorry, yes.
Oh.
Hello, hang on. Oh, Councillor Labrador first. Yeah, I'll come back to you, Councillor Labrador.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to move an amendment to the motion of point 3. Point 3.2 to have Councillor Brooks and Councillor Labrador, myself, as the proxy, and having spoken to Jared as well, he's happy for that. And then also within that amendment, going back to point, sorry, Chair.
Sorry, that's all right. Which one were you talking about?
The Whittlesea Disability Network changing Lapin for Labrador as the proxy.
Proxy, yeah.
Okay. Are you happy? Sorry, Councillor Lappin's giving the thumbs up, so. No problem?
Yeah.
No problem, that's
and then
So that's been put as an amendment.
Yep.
The mover of the motion.
Oh, wait, there's still one more part of the amendment. It is to replace Councillor Lenberg with Councillor Labrador as a proxy on the Multicultural Communities Committee.
Which is the...
Table 1.
So Councillor Lenberg's the proxy. You're...
Yeah, give it to Labrador, Councillor Labrador.
Thanks, David.
Your enthusiasm.
You're welcome, mate.
So the amendment you're moving is that Councillor Labrador is replacing Councillor Lenberg as the proxy on the Multicultural Communities Committee and Councillor Lappin on the Disability Network. Is that correct?
Yes, Chair.
You happy as mover?
Yes, I'm happy to accept those.
Thank you. God help us if you weren't. Councillor Gunn, you're the seconder. Are you happy?
Yes.
Thank you. We're getting somewhere. So can we just make those two amendments to the list?
So that one's done. Is the other one done?
That's now going to become the substantive motion. Not yet. Just yet. Just right. So I'm saying, bear with me. We're getting there. Everyone happy? Good. Right. So I've now got a substantive motion with the list. Is there any speaker on the substantive motion? I know Councillor Stowe told me she doesn't want to talk. Anybody else? You're happy now, Councillor Lenberg? I missed you. Good. On that basis, I'm going to put it to a vote. All those in favour of the substantive motion, the list? Unanimous. Thank you. See, got there. We're doing well. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, item 6. Notices of motion. We have no notices of motion. Councillors, are there any items of urgent business? Being none. CEO, do you have any items of urgent business? No. We now move to reports of council representatives and the CEO update. So councillor reports, I'll call on councillors to read out your report of activities. Councillor Colwell, can you commence as the Deputy Mayor, please?
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge, obviously, unfortunately, I had a bit of a fall prior to today's meeting. I'm not sure if it's noticeable online, but I do have a little bit of a fat lip, and just to explain some of the context for that. It's been a very busy period with lots of community events. However, rather than highlighting or going through a list of the events, I thought I'd just focus on one of the events I attended during this period, and that being the Donnybrook Community Christmas Carols. Jason, who was there on the fundraising barbecue, and Catherine and Nick, who were part of the organising team, and I'm sure there are many others who I've missed that were part of the power behind organising this community event. But getting into the Christmas spirit, I obviously attended the Donnybrook Community Christmas Carols in my Christmas woolen jumper. And I'm not going to lie, it was a very cold Saturday night. And it was during that period a community member saw me shivering in the cold, sitting in the front row. And a kind lady came up to me and politely offered me their jacket. I politely declined, but she explained to me that she was from Illinois, so the temperature in the early teens didn't really bother her as it did me. For me, it highlighted the strengths of our community, that sense of empathy when you see a fellow community member in need. It was just a small, simple gesture of kindness that resonated with me in that moment. I'd like to thank the community member for their thoughtfulness and hope that they can inspire our community as they have inspired me to pay that forward, to pay that, I guess, that act of kindness forward. Like I said, very simple. I was in a position where I needed warmth, and she was prepared to offer me her jacket, and I thought that was a very kind gesture. So I'd like to leave the council as we approach Christmas and sharing that story, and hopefully it inspires others as we enter the holiday season and Christmas time. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Zinni.
So thank you, Chair. This month I attended the Encompass Care Christmas Luncheon. I was touched by the beautiful commitment the volunteers have to ensuring those in need have their Christmas party and feel the sense of belonging at this time of year. Not everyone has a family and not everyone can rejoice. So having Encompass Care give as they do was truly a memorable experience, and I was grateful to share that with Councillor Taylor. They are looking for more donations from businesses, so please engage if you are interested in helping people in need in our community. I also attended the Aboriginal Gathering Place soft launch and visited the new Granite Hills Community Park, all in South Morang. On the 28th of November, I had the meeting with Minister Lily D'Ambrosio regarding Findon Road duplication and our advocacy for a youth hub. I also had the pleasure this month for giving the speech to the welcome of our new citizens at the December citizenship ceremonies. Congratulations to those becoming Australians. Carols by Candlelight event was also a beautiful night, and grateful to have met so many residents with their young families. I want to wish all our residents out there who are watching, all 7 of you, and happy and holy Christmas and New Year. Stay safe and be merry.
Thank you, Councillor Zinni. Councillor Labrador.
Thank you, Chair. It has been quite a busy season regarding my personal work. I think the only council event that I'd attended since the last council meeting was Coffee with Council in Laylaw. Obviously, I got to speak to lots of residents, particularly around issues pertaining to Laylaw, lots of dumped rubbish and uncut grass, and obviously we were hoping to address that. So my message out to the community in Laylaw is that yes, we'll be addressing that rubbish and the grass, and hopefully that we can get Laylaw cleaner and more livable. But other than that, I didn't attend too many events because of other prior work commitments. The only message I have to say is Merry Christmas to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Apart from our council training and briefings, I've had several coffee meetings with community members. I was at the Yan Yean Road sod turn for the extension of Yan Yean Road, Mernda Hospital opening, great night at the Northlink 30th Anniversary Dinner and Business Awards. I went up to a barbecue at Granite Hills Park, which was fantastic. I attended the Christmas carols at Lorimer Wetland Market on Sunday night. And I'm looking forward to a visit tomorrow with the Deputy Mayor and Mayor to Love Thy Neighbour, who are packing goods for 400 families throughout the city of Whittlesea. And I think that term, Love Thy Neighbour, is a special message for this time of year. I'd like to shout out to our colleagues in Waverley Council after the devastating events of Sunday night, and just reiterate there's no room for hate of any kind in this country. We are a free and just society and must call out hate in all its forms. So this festive season, go out, spread love, enjoy the festive season however you spend it, and stay safe and stay happy, and I look forward to seeing you next year.
Thank you, Chair. Great things always happening in the ward of Kirrip, and it's been another fantastic couple of weeks, and I think I've joined yourself in a few events. We've had the Councillor Coffee with thank you to the CEO and the staff for coming out, and to the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor, and to Councillor Lenberg for your presence there. Also, Epping Road officially open to the community on December the 10th, and for those that use Epping Road and the major T intersection at Lindarum, that is a much welcomed opening there. You can trim a couple of minutes off your trips now. Wallet Rise Estate had a fantastic little opening up for their park the other day with attended with yourself, Mr. Mayor, and that was there's still a corner block within that park that's still for sale. So anyone that's looking for a good investment right next to that new park, I suggest that's where you should probably buy. We've also got, I want a big shout out to Angelo Di Vincentius, and he was actually awarded the 2025 School Crossing Supervisor, or Lollipop Man as they knew when I went to St Francis there, and by our own City of Whittlesea. And rain, hail or shine, he does the supervising at LSRAC College there. So big shout out to him and to all the school crossing supervisors. We love them so much that council fits the majority of the bill. So big shout out to all those people who've made a successful school year to keep our children safe. Also to the most vulnerable, the Salvation Army statistics suggest that 1 in 5 Aussies will go hungry during Christmas, which is a huge statistic. So as Councillor Gunn alluded to, if we can reach out and help our neighbour, there's a lot of brave faces out there, and people putting brave faces on. And a shout out to Brendan and Bread Hub that I know Councillor Zini is involved with quite a bit out in Mundura and all the good work that his team does. But reach out, knock on the door to your neighbour if you can. People will be lonely or going through things that they not show. So please, let's use this time of the year to really get to know our neighbours and just reach out where we can, and just be lucky what we're blessed with, and to reach out to those that may need us when they may not show it. Have a great end of year and look forward to 2026.
Thank you, Chair. I know it's late, but could I possibly have my time extended? Is that okay?
Sorry, go. My apologies.
What? Yeah.
Sorry?
Could I possibly have my time extended to speak?
Oh, sorry, yes. Yes. How long do you need?
I don't know, like 4 minutes?
4 minutes?
Yeah.
You got 4
I might not use it, but we'll see what happens. So I'll start off with what I was doing for the last month or so. So I went to Carols by Candlelight, which was fantastic. That was a really great turnout. It's one of the best events we do of the year. I brought my family down there, which was really great, and saw some old friends there as well. Went to the Aboriginal Gathering Place soft launch. That is a absolutely beautiful building, and the view in that area around Granite Hills is fantastic. It's really fantastic that exists in the city of Whittlesea. I was really astounded by just how good it looked, so it was really great. And then extension of that, I checked out the Granite Hills Park, just below it. So no, sussing me out. So I checked out the Granite Hills Park there. That's amazing. The massive slide there is incredible. I'm only 29, but it was a great slide to go The Myrna Hills Multi-Purpose Centre opened in Mernda, which I attended with Councillor Martin Taylor, which was fantastic to see him there. So that's going to be great for that school there. We also went to the Myrna Community Hospital openings. That was a very exciting thing that happened there. That's been in the works for a long time, and a lot of excited residents in Mernda. Just before coming to council today, I went to a Mernda Community Building Activities, which is started by local people, Roses and Basim, which is basically getting all their neighbours together to engage in community activities like playing soccer on the weekends or doing engagement with children, or just meeting people. So it was good to see people taking the initiative to build those community connections themselves and use our facilities as well. Like I met them down at the Ginny Community Centre down at Mernda. And I asked for the extension basically because last week a few might have heard that my pop passed away, but the reason I bring it up is because he worked at the City of Broadmeadows all his life before it was amalgamated into Hume. And so I bring it up because he always spoke very fondly of his time at council. He used to work there with all his brothers and his dad as well. And so there was about a 30-year period in the 70s, 80s and 90s where the Leatham gang there were an absolute mafia in Broadmeadows. But he worked his way up from being a young kid there, from being 15 or so on the council, and he did every single job there, and he's very proud that he did that and worked his way up as a working person until eventually he got to be the supervisor of the sanitation department at Broadmeadows, and he was really proud of that, and he kept his business cards on him until the end there, which was great. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because it's relevant to council's up. We'd speak about council a lot and what was going on. He was very keen to see what had changed and see what happened, so I really enjoyed those conversations with him. He also had very strong opinions on Vic Road's mowing habits. So he lived on Mariang Road, and he would often say that, how much better it was when council would do all the mowing themselves and do all the roadworks themselves. So it was funny just having those conversations and the point of difference as well. So I just wanted to acknowledge him at the council meeting because I think his influence on me has influenced why I'm part of council today. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Lappin, and condolences on the loss. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Chair. I won't repeat the events that I attended with my fellow colleague councillors, but I did attend Caris by Candlelight, spent about 3 hours there. Fantastic job undertaken by all the council officers that were working there. They did a terrific job. Everyone that was there, as you know, there's a couple of thousand people there. I probably spoke to over 100 during the 3 hours that I was walking around talking to people. I also attended the Whittlesea's Community Corrections Summer Law Student Clerkship graduation. That was fantastic. I represented the Mayor at the South Morang Football Club, Cricket Club and Netball Club in relation to the sod turn for the installation of the new lighting system that's being installed. Also attended, I won't go any further, with Councillor Zeni in relation to the Compass Care Christmas function for its volunteers and had the opportunity to speak to that function. I've met with about 15 community groups in South Morang. I've also, for the last couple of months, been involved in door knocking and connecting with people in the community within South Morang, and I look forward to continue doing that well into 2026. I also highlighted some of our business legends in South Morang and was surprised to see some of the comments that were made. There is no place for racism within the City of Whittlesea. There's no comments there is no place for people to make racist comments. We are a multicultural municipality, and that's the way we should move forward. Please do not get distressed if you do make comments that are inappropriate, because I'm just going to delete you, and that's it, and I'll block you from that website. I also attended with my colleagues with Granite Hills, both for the soft opening and for the opening of the park on the 9th of December, and it was fantastic.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Stowe.
Thank you, and my condolences also to the citizens of Waverley and the tragic events that happened there. Also, my condolences to Councillor Lappin. I'm sorry to hear about your pop. So, over the last month, I've attended meetings with residents of Whittlesea regarding the dam and regarding Grants Road and the difficulties with Grants Road. I've also attended meetings with residents in Donnybrook talking about Donnybrook Road and how we can lobby for improvements on Donnybrook Road. I attended the Carols by Candlelight here at Council, which was marvellous, and it did get a bit hot. I also attended Carols by Candlelight in my ward in Whittlesea, and there's nothing wrong with my dancing. I also attended the NBAA, or the Northlink business dinner, and that was a really great event, and it's always a great networking event, and to hear people doing great things in business. Also attended YPRL board meeting. I also attended the Donnybrook Carols by Candlelight, again in my ward in Donnybrook. And the really big one was the launch of the Beveridge Intermodal Terminal, which was huge, and it was well attended, and it was quite a significant event, much more significant than I imagined. And I'd just like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and the best part about Christmas is chocolate.
Thank you, Councillor Stone. Councillor Lenberg.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. Today I want to reflect on my first year as a councillor for the Epping Ward in the City of Whittlesea. When I was first elected to the City of Whittlesea Council, I thought I had a fair idea of what to expect, but as I quickly learned, there was no real guidebook for the realities of local government. This first year has been challenging in ways I didn't anticipate, yet it has also been one of the most rewarding experiences connecting with the community. I learned a great deal about how our community functions, and just as importantly, about myself. I've discovered that integrity isn't just a word or a value to quote, it's a daily practice. It's the compass that keeps you steady when the pressures of politics threaten to pull you off course. Integrity is something I hold close, especially because it can sometimes feel rare in politics and even in our society. In my first year, I've been proud to stay true to my principles and focus on tangible outcomes that genuinely matter to people's lives. I've championed the duplication of Findon Road between High Street and Plenty Road, a vital project that will ease congestion and make travel safer for our residents. I've also worked hard to support the vision of the Melbourne Arboretum, ensuring its planning permit reflects both environmental stewardship and community value. Beyond projects, some of my most meaningful work has come from listening, helping residents navigate issues as they arise and standing alongside our business community in Epping as they continue to grow and adapt. The new Epping project is one that I have a keen interest in, and I look forward to it taking shape over the next 10 years. The first year has reminded me why local government matters. It's where integrity meets impact. It's where small decisions and actions can make a difference. And it's where my connection to this community feels stronger than ever. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lenberg. I'm just briefly I'm not going to repeat, hopefully, too many events. I just will also acknowledge Councillor Zinni had a loss as well, and I'd like to acknowledge that. Condolences. I attended the Greek Orthodox Women's Christmas function, the Northern Mauritius Seniors Christmas function, and both were fantastic events. The numbers are getting a bit smaller, but they're good events. The carols we've talked about at Civic and Whittlesea, and Councillor Stowe's dancing. But also we've had plenty of opportunities of meetings, and my thanks to the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Cole, for participating in a majority of those and being available readily. We both attended the staff awards function, which one of the directors was a little bit worried about her future employment as a result of jokes. It was not offensive, so we put up with it. But again, I just want to emphasise tonight has shown, again, this council does work, does provide stability and does provide respect. And the way the agenda, as I said, it's been probably a long time for me going backwards and forwards over amendments and processes. It's been a bit of a memory jogger, but it's been good, and I hope people have actually got it and enjoyed, or sorry, supported the process. Probably not enjoyed in all respects, but what I'm saying is the process has been there, and we've got through it. And again, as I said, it's been fantastic that the goodwill being shown by yourselves to each other, but also to our officers and the officers that are present here and the officers that are not present here, our employees. Again, a great year. I wish them a very happy festive season and a good break. Come back in 2026 and more challenges will be ahead of us. Working with Craig and Jacinta at the governance level has been a challenge. Jacinta's been on holidays, that's been, Janine stepped in. But we got there. So that's all my report for the moment. I'm over time. I'll move on to item 6, the notices. Oh, sorry. Give the CEO a go.
Thank you, Chair. The Granite Hills Major Community Park has proved very popular. People of all ages and abilities have been attending since it opened to the public last week. Located at the Bunjil Nunga Parkland in Quarry Hills, the new $8 million attraction is a fantastic addition to the mix of parks and playgrounds we've got right across the city. The park connects the precinct recently expanding network of walking trails and includes a large playground with an array of slides, swings and other features. There's shelters, picnic tables, built-in barbecues, public toilets, a changing places facility for people with higher care needs and a new car park. Council put in $5.5 million towards the project and we're grateful for the $2.5 million grant from the Victorian Government's Growing Suburbs Fund. And we'll be having an official opening in mid-February next year. As has been mentioned, the construction of the gathering place is now complete. The project is the culmination of more than 20 years of collaboration and, has to be said, persistence from Council and local First Peoples. Fully funded by Council, the Aboriginal Gathering Place reflects Council's commitment to reconciliation and self-determination for First Peoples. And again, the official opening of that will be in mid-February next year. I'm delighted to report that the main works to restore the health of the Peter Hopper Lake in Mill Park have been completed. The lake has been troubled for a long time by water quality issues and frequent algal blooms. In 2024, Council, with the support of a grant from the Australian Government, embarked on a major multi-stage project to revitalise the lake. It included the removal of about 3,000 cubic metres of silt and other pollutants from the lake bed and the installation of water filtering infrastructure. There's still some landscaping to complete and the temporary fencing will remain in place until the shared path is reconstructed, which will occur early in the new year. I'd just like to thank all of the team that have been involved in that and the community groups that were involved in the advocacy for the federal government funding for that as well. And I recently had the pleasure of attending with Councillor Taylor an event to mark the start of a $434,000 upgrade of sports lighting at the Mill Park Lakes Recreation Reserve. It's going to be a modern 100 lux LED lighting for the AFL Victoria and Cricket Victoria standards for those clubs there. We'll give the tenants of those clubs more flexibility with their scheduling, training, night fixtures, pre-season, and also community events out there as well. So it will benefit the club's women and junior players in particular, who are joining up in record numbers. That project was funded by support of $250,000 from the Victorian Government's Local Sports Infrastructure Fund and also a $10,000 contribution from the South Morang Football Netball Club. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Craig. And I note that all the verbal reports will be documented in the minutes. Next item is the tabled reports, and I note that we have an Arbiter's report listed as IAP 2025-2, IAP 2025-4, IAP 2025-5 and IAP 2025-7 being tabled tonight. The report does not require a motion nor discussion. However, I do invite Councillor McLinden to speak.
Yep. Thank you, Chair. Under subsection 147(2)(a) of the Local Government Act 2020, at the council meeting today, after the reasons have been tabled by the Arbiter, I have been directed to make the following apology, which shall be made in this open component of the meeting. That being, on Sky News on 26th of January 2025, I made a statement that councillors in Victoria have just got enough time to read what's put in front of them and to rubber stamp it. I accept that this comment would be understood as reflecting on how Whittlesea City Council operates. I did not intend to suggest that this was my personal experience as a Whittlesea councillor or that council staff were not giving me enough time to consider council papers. I wish to apologise to council staff for my remarks and hope that that apology will be accepted. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McLinden. I note in item 10, confidential business, that we do not have any items of confidential business. Brings us to the end of the meeting, but I just ask councillors to remain seated when I close the meeting, And again, I'll wish everybody the Christmas and the enjoyable break, and I've got my Grinch hat. I'm not going to put it on. But I will close the meeting at 9:47.